I reach you in, crank up back to back. Oh, oh, just like that. I see a dub in my future stack. Oh, I know a place you can go. The doghouse outside my massive abode. It's lovely, it's cushy, and sometimes it's cold. Now sit and watch me get this gold. Oh, I just want it all. I just want it all. Step
it like that. Going in a second, turning into attack. Get it, don't look around, no time to look back. That's how we do it. We do it like that. That's how we do it. Yeah. We do it like that.
Fortnite fam, welcome. This is it. One final opportunity to try and make it to the Global Championship later this year. Only 2 spots are up for grabs today. This is the players' opportunity. This is their moment. This is their last chance. Woo! Kelly Vivid. Last chance time. Kelly Vivid. Are you feeling it? I'm feeling it.
I mean, you're always feeling it, but I'm definitely feeling it as well. I'm so excited. And honestly, I feel like Epic and Blast are pushing the envelope for this tournament because in the past, we've asked, do players deserve a second chance? And then the envelope was pushed more of, do players deserve a last chance? But Zeke, have we ever asked the question, do players deserve a second last chance? Well, we're going to be finding that out today because although we've already had so many teams made their way to the Global Championships, we're going to be finding just 2 teams to make their way to the Globals. And that's only going to happen over 6 games of it. So much is going to be changing with what we saw just from Major Finals, and I cannot wait to get started.
Really like what Ozzy was kind of describing this little last chance qualifier as. He kept coining it this mini FNCS, and that's really what it feels like. We've kind of crammed in what feels like an FNCS into just a single day here that has culminated into just 6 games for one of the most coveted spots that you can compete for in Fortnite. A spot at LAN. Super exciting stuff.
Oh my gosh. So much to talk about. And I'm going to continue harping on it till we say goodbye, because again, this is the last chance. Let's start very simply. What are we here for? Obviously, I just said 2 spots going to the Global Championships, but there's also players who are competing for prize money, right? $30,000 here to split 2 ways for the duo that comes in first place. But Kelly, you know, some players are fighting for those 2 spots. Others, they already have their spots qualified, right? They're already good to go. They're fighting for a larger chunk of this prize money.
That's true. Although I do think, you know, in these show opens that we have, we kind of like to talk about the teams that we think are going to come out on top on the leaderboard. But I think we should probably focus a little bit more on the teams that have not qualified just yet. But really quick, let's touch on the teams that have already qualified, as we can see from this list right here. But there's some notable names that we won't be seeing compete already. We got no Acorn and Bolt, our reigning champs, no Muzz and Rise, no Golden and Ozone. And so it's a big question as to how this will affect the lobby.
In total, when we do go ahead and break it down today, we have 10 total teams competing here today that are already qualified to the Global Championship spot. So technically, we have an opportunity to kind of roll those qualification spots down to top 12, but I do not think that's going to be the case. If any of you guys at home had the opportunity to watch EU, or if you didn't, I'll go ahead and let you in on the know-how. There were 16 Global Championship qualified teams competing on EU, and it ended up being top 6 to actually qualify. So only 3 of those 16 Global Championship teams actually made it into those qualification spots once more. So it's going to be super tough out here today, and these stats kind of break it down just simply put. FNCS Finals appearances amongst all of our players competing today is going to get up to that 725 mark. If anybody kind of saw this session summary that we did during Major number 2, that number was about 780, 790. So this lobby in general is very, very close to the caliber of that Major 2 finals that we saw in Zeke. 61 players with 0 LAN finals appearances, right? Trying to get their opportunity, their breakout performance, so that we can see them on the big stage.
There's so many dreams here, so many players who need to qualify, so many players who would, like, if I told you their name, you'd be like, they're already qualified, right, Zeke? Nope. The competition has been very fierce this year. Let's talk about a couple of names. Right off the bat here, we got to talk about Booga and Braids as the Lion roars, looking to earn themselves a spot. This is Mr. World Cup, Kelly Link. If he does not make it to the global stage, it just gotta be heartbreaking, right?
Especially with the year that Bugha has been having, he's kind of just been on everyone's minds. He's been on like a hot topic recently, especially after they got that qualification to EWC. So they did get 13th place in Major 2, which, although not necessarily terrible, wasn't the performance that they wanted. But I do have to say, Bugha's performance really impressed me. And not to say that Braids performed underperformed, whatever, but for Bugha, not only was he IGLing really well, but there was just moments where he was just fragging out as well. He actually had more damage and more eliminations than Braids. And so I think to see Bugha really just stepping up and proving himself once again, for whatever reason, Bugha has to constantly prove himself, even though he's done it time and time again, Vivid. So to just see him do that makes me feel like he's here to make his way into global championships.
Really, we didn't get to see the full potential of this duo, though, in Major 2 finals until day number 2. And that's what kind of gives me hopes about their kind of chance to go ahead and qualify to the global championship here today, because hopefully, something clicked between day number 1 and day number 2 of those Major 2 finals. I mean, if you take a look at their games that they played in day number 2, it was a fourth, and a 6 kind of in the mix there amongst those 6 games that were played on day number 2. So they really figured something out there. They just have to carry that momentum here over the course of these 6 games, and I really do feel like they can qualify.
I have to believe, man. I have to believe in Bugha until the competition is done, until these last 6 games have concluded. I have to just keep believing, right? I just have to, Vivid. Obviously, this is NA, but we also have some other representation competing here in NA. We got to talk about Moneymaker and F9. Interesting about this duo, though, Vivid. Their drop spots have been a little all over the place in Major number 2.
Yeah, keeping track of these guys over the course of the 12 games of finals was absolutely impossible. You can see these are kind of like the 5 drop spots that they actually landed across the map over the course of those 12 games. And honestly, it was working very, very well for them. Unfortunately, though, since they are finding themselves in a spot where we're coming out of the finals, that, strategy has obviously been revealed. I was taking a look at their socials. They don't necessarily feel too confident in kind of running that one back. So it appears that they are going to be kind of sticking to this split drop up to the northwestern side of the map. That being said, I mean, even if they were trying to go ahead and plan to do this little bit of a strategy where they land somewhere different, they wouldn't want to kind of publicize that. So maybe they'll run it back and do something like that. That being said, though, Kelly, without a doubt, they have to kind of change something without a doubt, because obviously they can't kind of land in some of those same spots. So we'll have to see what Moneymaker and F9 kind of cook it up in the early game.
It'll be interesting. And you were speaking of their social media, and I was actually looking at their social media as well, and I've been noticing a lot of off-spawn practice that he's been asking for. So to see them just even putting that off-spawn practice in is a good note. I think that you probably are right that they might be sticking to one spot, probably a spot that they expect to be contested. However, I will say that they might be putting this off-spawn practice in because they may have put a little bit of a target on their back. As we might remember in the grand finals, they may have landed on a certain player, a player that might be a little infamous for attacking others and putting a target on their back when they, burden him. I'm not going to say his name. I'm not going to put that out into the universe because I feel like that would summon him. But I think Moneymaker and F9 might potentially have a different issue to worry about than other players are.
It's true. It is true. Well, listen, we have more duos to talk about, but first, we wanted to take a moment here to breathe. Let's go meet up with your casters. It's Jacob PR. It's Monster D-Face. Say what's up, guys.
Thank you, Zeke. And honestly, hopefully everybody's having a great day. They're talking about teams that need to qualify, but there are 10 different roadblocks in this lobby in the form of qualified players to the Global Championship. 9 of them are already from NA Central, but one of them is coming from NA West, venturing into this region to try to get the most practice, and that's 7-time FNCS champion Epic Well, and by his side is Pump.
Gotta give a shout out to Epic Whale and Pump, who are obviously looking for the best practice possible here, of course, in the region. But, I want to give a little note for people like Kanata and Oliver OG who have fled the region, right? They don't want nothing to do with it. They're going to be counting their lucky stars, though, Jacob, that Epic's not here.
Yeah, honestly, it was almost a 200-point lead in terms of the Global Championship qualification spots. Retro and Phoenix right there with them. But let's see what Epic Well and Pump have in store for today, Zeke.
That's the question, right, Monster? Because everyone is all looking across the board saying, look, guys, there's only 2 spots. We are all fighting for 2 spots. We have 6 games to try and make something happen. Okay, let's start to talk about some names we're going to be seeing here compete in today's lobby. Here's a look at some of the names. And again, if we just toss out some of these names, it's crazy how many are still looking to find themselves a seat on the battle bus. We've got to talk about global champion Queasy and Victor V. So not only do we have NAC Kelly, we've got EU and now NA West pros all looking to compete here for one of two spots.
It's pretty crazy that we might live in a world where reigning champion Queasy doesn't make it into the global championships, and to see them get 11th place in Major 2 finals, barely missing out by one placement for those qualifications, you got to think that might have taken a big hit on their mental. And I'm going to be a little honest, I thought that there was a chance that they were going to split, but I am so glad to see that they didn't. And honestly, during the eval finals, I saw them have their height games that we know that Queasy loves to take, and it looked so much more polished. And not to say that it didn't look polished during the finals, but there was just moments for Queasy when he was taking height that he had to kind of sacrifice it a lot, and he would take it early like he knows to take. But that moments where I was kind of questioning them have gone away after watching the eval finals. It really seems like they're coming into this grand finals with a game plan.
Yeah, very excited to see if Queasy and Victor V can kind of clutch up here. That being said, I did want to go ahead and take a look at how well they were doing in Major number 2, specifically on day number 1. You can see it after game number 2, after game number 4. They were in that top 10, right? 5th and 7th place, respectively. After that, though, I mean, they had a pretty rough go. Like Kelly mentioned, one spot off that qualification, so they almost kind of had that comeback happen. But unfortunately, what kind of put up a roadblock for them was that some of their loot was getting stolen off spawn, surprisingly, after some of those games in Major number 2. And unfortunately, Zeke, I think that's going to be the same scenario here today. Hopefully, they got a game plan.
We just gotta hope, man. Globals without a global champion is just crazy, and this is Queasy we are talking about. Now, we wanted to highlight two final duos for you, the Fortnite fam. Let's start with Dash and Noxys. We kind of wanted to get a wide look here of all the players up in the lobby who are looking to fight for these two spots. Can you maybe talk to us about why we should be rooting on Dash and Noxy?
Well, I definitely think Dash and Noxy have a possibility of making it into that top 10 contention that we're talking about, of what we might see the qualification spots go to. For me, they ended off day 1 for Major 2 in 8th place, which is obviously a great sign. Day 2 didn't necessarily go the way that they wanted, but for me, they went from being contested from Higgs and Curve at Lifty Lodge, and now they're being contested by Noise and Leahy at a more central split, so I think that might honestly be the advantage they need to be able to climb up the leaderboard just a little more. But more so than anything, what really impresses me is how they play the mid game, or the mid ground during the end game. They really like to stay front side of it, and usually in the end game we see a lot of chaos kind of going on the low and mid ground, but they played that game so calm and collected. I really feel like with just a few more eliminations they can easily jump into the top of the leaderboard.
It's like this duo, though, has like an Achilles heel. It's like that around that 20th to 25th mark when the lobby is still kind of left alive. If they get past that point, they got like top 5 every single time in grand finals. It's just something about that little bit of a transition from mid game to end game. They falter sometimes, but if they get past that certain time frame, they always do super well.
Okay, nothing but positive vibes for the duo. We'll have to see and keep up with them with 6 games to fight. And for just 2 spots, final duo to highlight here, it's Javi and Aminish. Talk to us about this duo. Do they have what it takes?
It's really interesting if we just go back a couple of months at Major 1, how Javi and Aminish was kind of on everyone's radar. They were really able to compete with the best of NAC and actually ended off the Major in 6th place. However, Major 2 wasn't necessarily the same story. They ended off in 16th place, and I think a lot of people were a little surprised, and not necessarily the underperformance, but where they just seemed to be falling a little short. However, it's Javi and Aminish. We've seen them rise up before, and I think they can do it again.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, obviously, Kelly was kind of talking about it. With Javi and Aminish, you can kind of expect the high ground placements out of them. That being said, in a lobby like this, right, where it's this last chance qualifier, usually we start to see a little bit of desperation. Desperation allows some of these teams to be a little bit more willing to go for the wins, to go for the high ground, right? That win condition to the playstyle of high ground. When we talk about teams like Javi and Aminish, Queasy and Victor V, at high ground playstyle, I expect it to be very, very contested when there is so much on the line and a lot of pressure to ensue. Zeke, only 2 spots available, man. I know you like to get a little nervous before these games start.
Viv, I really do. Obviously, if it was up to me, we'd all get to play on the Global Championship stage, right? Everyone would be invited, but this is a competition at the end of the day, right? There can be only so many spots, and when you're fighting for not only a spot to go to the Global Championship, but then at the Global Championship to fight for the title of Global Champion, one of the best duos in the world. Man, It's gonna be crazy. With that being said, though, I am getting word 6 games, only the top 2 qualify. Casters, take it away.
Thank you, Zeke. You know, Jacob, normally I feel pretty calm coming into games, but there's something about this last opportunity right now that's got me anxious.
I know, it's just one of those situations where 10 global qualified teams, 2 spots up for grabs. We talked about Major 2 being a cinema-esque experience. I think we're in for round 2 of that, the sequel.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough looking at how much competition there is. There's even these rumors going around now that if you thought you were safe, you just might not be, as teams have been deciding to probably switch things up here on the Fortnite world. So I think we're going to be in for some surprises, Jacob.
Yeah, we've already have some teams switching up their drop spots, Ritual and Cold, going from the Battlewood all the way up to Latte. So anything is still possible with 6 games starting, 2 spots up for grabs. Let's jump right into the day.
Well, you couldn't have set the stage better for us. We get to see how this is all going to play out here for game number 1. One of the few teams to be possibly surprise contested here on the day. Victor V, Queasy, of course. You saw Magma and his duo landing just to the north of them. They're one of those few surprise duos looking to do something a little bit differently. As we also glance at the feed, you can see that there is already action taking place here, though, Jacob.
Yeah, so it honestly, Victor V, Queasy, even though they're not contested in terms of a 50-50, you can see Victor V kind of peeking out that window, looking up top. He still has to worry about Higgs and Curve as well, even though they seem fine for now. They know they have their struggles later. Byla, yes, with Webster, the FNCS champion Byla that won with Peter Bot. Webster back-to-back qualifications to put himself in this scenario.
Yeah, really impressive play by Webster. He's just been having his opportunity, but of course, if you want to go all the way to the LAN event, it's going to take so much more. EU was honestly really surprising the best teams, kind of coming up short, making it even all the more curious up at the top for who was going to take a qualification spot. NA not usually kind of going in that direction, so we'll see who, of course, is going to be the best of the best. Nice job from Byla, though. A little sneaky angle here to give them the successful opener.
Yeah, Byla, sometimes you just need a little break, a little refresher. He comes back, and he's literally firing on all cylinders. Webster down low, a little bit of a struggle. He does have backup. The only thing you got to watch out for is the lack of shock. And Maraps tries to jump out, sneak attack, but it just does not work. Byla and Webster, game 1, off spawn, they find success.
Big win for them right there. 2 eliminations, of course. These points are going to add up. If you can go the distance, I mean, all the better for them. Jumping over to Ritual now. Here's a player who, of course, has been very much contested all season long. He's kind of been in and out of different scenarios. This time, though, he's coming on over to the Latte landing. There's something about this drop, Jacob, keeps attracting more and more teams.
Yeah, we saw Venom and Agers in Major 2, triple contested to uncontested as the tournament went on. And honestly, looking at it, you know, if you kind of look at the Vital Scrims drop map, it was supposed to be uncontested. But I knew today there's so many tricks up under players' sleeves, because if you don't make it here to the Global Championship, in essence, your FNCS is over. So Ritual, game 1 on the line, hits the shot that matters to get the knock.
Just insane. How can you count him out? Never sleep on the young Ritual here. Give it a second, though. Now he's got to win one more fight. He didn't actually get his full finish. I'm not sure how I feel about that. He could have totally used the mats. And this puts him in a little bit more of a desperate situation, but he's already evened the playing field a bit. Oh, and the res is going to go off. Okay, things are definitely not going the way he expected them to.
Oh, perfect angle, though. Window there, so there's no wall to block him off. Cancels out the res. So even though he didn't land a ton of damage to really take down the shield, he's just buying himself time here to try to continue to make a move. 5 shots left. Is that a third party coming in? Because that was a big shot on the Ritual.
Yeah, a couple tags coming from what looked to be the coastal area. It's a really rough spot now for him, and here the comms going out there, try to cancel the pickup there. He actually did it just in time.
A little prolonged, but I just feel uneasy about this situation. It is a 1v1, but Osid on the outskirts, the bank shot coming in. Ritual dropped down to a sliver of HP, but surviving for a few seconds longer before he's eventually taken down. But even though he wins this fight, his teammate goes down. Osid's by himself. I don't see his teammate anywhere. You got to think he's probably on the outskirts, just west of Latte.
Yeah, Yeah, seeing all the shots go down, he's trying to take full advantage of the situation right now. In the end, it plays out well for Osid and Vert here, who end up securing Elin the points, and now the drop to themselves. A little bit of bully ball here for the location.
Already game one, proven to be a lot of action to kind of start us off. Cyclops, the first down the back to keep himself alive. And Cyclops is one of those duos, him and his teammate, that you typically do see towards the top of the leaderboard in the open stages. They just need to be able to pull it together here in these finals lobbies.
See a little bit from Veno and Agers. Love to watch their play. Veno, interestingly enough, coming out of the Major 2, did talk about his experience in general. Just saying that, hey, look, I went in with no game plan other than survive the drop. But now that he is not exactly contested, I'd assume they're going to be much more prepared to, of course, make some money this weekend and maybe even deter some teams from pushing through. Who knows what's up his sleeve?
It's just one of those interesting decisions because it's not only about the last chance here, the global championship as well. So you're seeing teams just trying to condition the surrounding lands, not only against other global championship qualified players, but everybody else that is in these lobbies. You see a nice bird's eye view from Veno and Agers, even though they're a little bit separated for now. So Encrypted and H-Cube can, in theory, pick Agers and go try to take the 2v1, but without that information, I'm not sure it's going to be a possible play.
Surprised Veno didn't come this way. You saw in the feed there, Batman, Bugha taking down Carillion already as the fight kicked off. Curve was the one who got the initial knock there. Now it's just time to wrap things up. Really nice to watch players like Curve continue to surge in confidence, really flexing his fighting capabilities, leading for the controller demo right now. Oh, yep, there it is. I said it. I was surprised he wasn't here already. Well, he had other business to attend to. Now Veno shows up.
Yeah, he's kind of doing all this by himself. Look at the mini-map. He just kind of ventured outward. He's probably hearing the same things you are. A possible chance for Surge. 20, 30 is better than nothing, and he returns right back on up. Can't stray too far away from his duo. Put yourself in a solo situation, but you see him kind of shockwaving on over. They landed a little bit of damage, and that's what gave him the green light to go.
Almost caught HQ there, reading them very well. Goes the shock to give, of course, the stamina boost. Cryptid, H-Cube, opting to play a little bit of low ground right now, just trying to wait this one out. Veno and Agers have such a lead over them when it comes to materials, heals, and everything else. The zone's right on top of them, so Veno and Agers already having the damage lead, it seems. Just makes sense for them not to stick around too much longer here. Maybe give up the advantage that they have right now. Surprised. I'm actually surprised to actually get to this first, too, by the way. This is, of course, a battle for this key upgrade to the weaponry.
You can almost see why HQ Encrypted were kind of stayed down here for as long as they have. Kind of swap positions with Veno, Agers and him kind of finally reuniting on the down end. So they're not only going to get some heals, but like you said, a huge upgrade with Mythic in hand. To jump back on board Higgs and Curve. Even with that first elimination, Jarku's doing a good job of stalling out and buying so much time. But you look at all the resources Higgs, Curve have in them. This is going to mean a lot more time. I was going to say Jarku almost needed a miracle to stay alive. But now that Batman, Bugha, and Curve got those eliminations, they essentially cleared out the whole top side of Lifty Lodge.
Say, depending on how much is in that chug, I'm not sure how much he actually needed to use heals there. That might be a massive come up for them. We'll see how it plays out. Meanwhile, word is Rapid is solo dolo. We'll see how that plays out right now.
I like that coming out from Rapid. He's solo. Instead of just kind of sitting and waiting, he's trying to be progressive every step of that way. Not too many players nearby, so you got to imagine Clicks is going to make a return. Chris Allo just trying to push Barney out of their POI, and you see in the distance, he is a solo. That's because Chris did get that first elimination, and it's all about the small victories, kind of building up and kind of leading to that momentum charge. 6 games, you got to be able to remain consistent throughout it all, and that way you don't have to play catch-up on Game 6.
Sinister Strip action here for Peterbot and Pollo. You know, we've kind of gotten like mixed gameplay. I feel like mixed signals from Peterbot and Pollo from their mid and early game plans here on the Region Major 2. I feel like they had a little bit of a tough time figuring out and finding their identity. I'm curious if this is going to be a part of the strategy going into globals as well. Are they going to be more high ground, kind of Surge Tower playstyle like this, or are we going to see that dynamic kind of floating around Peterbot and Boyo?
Definitely interesting decisions to see which basically version of Peterbot and Boyo we will get today's tournament. Good chance for practice. The global is not too far away. But with competition being different, all depends on how serious you actually take it. Scare and Tyler moving in from the southeastern part of the map. They get there just on the edge, but you can kind of see the zone pulling further and further away towards the western side. So they know their rotation is not done just yet. And when you kind of get stuck in a cycle like Scare and Tyler, where it's max pull after max pull, in the back of your mind, it's always going to be Storm Surge.
Surge is really tough to difficult to deal with, especially when you're under a difficult rotate. Love the usage of these early shockwaves, mind you. This is really telling that they're willing to kind of put it all on the table, use it, as opposed to potentially losing it, trying to greed for a foot rotate. And you can see so far, it's actually cost them a lot. They've kind of expended a bunch just to get this far into the early game.
It's almost a must for them to hope that they're above that damage threshold. As you said, resources are dwindling, but for King and Craze, almost the exact opposite. Landing over at Calamari Canyon, uncontested, by the way. They immediately try to build up on one of these mountains, and now they get blessed with zone after zone here. You can kind of see as Storm Surge activates 546 above that damage threshold. So honestly, just no bad peaks is all they need. They don't even necessarily need to get greedy for more Surge, but they have a huge bird's eye view. So all those teams coming in from the north and the eastern side, they're going to get all that information on them.
Yeah, this is crazy to be a team that kind of lands in this western area and then have the zone pull directly this way. I mean, it's going to force some serious congestion on the east side of the map right now. Javi and Aminish, another strong team positioned up there. You see Noxy playing that high ground. These are teams that really need these opportunities right now, but getting into more dominant Sphinx and Curly. Sphinx has had his runs, you know. We've seen some greatness out of Sphinx, but right now we're gonna have to see him really step it up here. Surge is about to become a problem for the lobby. You can see the relocating of different duos already happening. Love the rotate from Cooper and Reap, but a lot of metal being used right now. I wonder if they're sitting on a refresh. No, not exactly. So that was just a desperate enter in. And again, I'm talking about how teams are using these very crucial materials, you know, shockwaves, etc. It's because the Surge is coming. And look, they're so close to it, right, Jacob? You might as well use it. They can't afford to really get tagged right now.
Yeah, and you can kind of see it from one zone to the next. As the fifth zone closed, they were, what, 100 and something above, dropped down 279. So even though they might be fine now, if you're not progressing in that Storm Surge and you do get those max pulls, you'll almost certainly be fighting with that line. And I think that's why they expended so many materials. Rather have no materials, be above the damage threshold, than the opposite, losing control over your own game plan. And you're kind of seeing the different play styles for some of those teams. Some kind of making it a priority to rotate into the zone early. Others, like Booga and Braze, they play more lax game. They get in, play the zone, and they just kind of use whatever's available at the time.
Yeah, the difference is they actually have some damage to work with, though. Look right now as they pop the med kit. Actually just had a team slip past them. It's Osid. Scare there.
A little trick right now, what they did is, you notice they shockwaved into the rift, right? People are thinking, that's nothing. They're just trying to get to the rift faster. No, now they have the overdrive effect. Because they didn't touch the ground and went straight into the rift, these guys can actually cut their glider and not take any fall damage at all. So while others are worried about when you're gonna glide, maybe cut it early, they have zero to worry about in comparison.
Such an excellent tip there. Looking at Queasy and Victor B, what have they learned coming out of Major 2? Last we heard, they had a bit of a tough time working around the duos that were effectively stealing loot from their loot route. This weekend seems to be the exact story with Magma and company very close by. Obviously, we all have high hopes of Queasy. high hopes of Victor V, who's just been popping off in recent times. Definitely one of the more exciting duos that we're going to be looking at here, but can they remain up at the top and be one of the 2 best that need the qualification spot? Hold that thought though. Curly and Sphinx, we talked about looking for greatness. Well, they found some elims there, Jacob, but not a lot of damage on the team on the other side. They could still very well be in trouble.
Yeah, especially since Sphinx did open up and take one of those shots. We kind of see as the dust settles, 120 above. It's enough to kind of smoothly move past this zone, but in the next one, that's when you might have a little bit of worries. You see them fall to 86 above. Void, G-Money, 35 below, and it's active surge on top of that. They're going to get a moment to breathe. They immediately dropped to 69 above, so they're not going to take any active ticks, so they get a chance here to heal, which is imperative if they want success in this game.
Tough spot to be in, but excellent amount of heals to kind of go the distance. Already, rotates are going to be forced out, though. No shockwaves in sight, so this is a pretty difficult rotate to make. And talk about difficult rotates. Victor V lost on the move here. They did find elimination, but now they're below the surge, and Queasy's left as a solo here. You have H-Cuban encrypted, already moving in pretty quickly. Queasy with the ambush strategy there. Great tag. Can he clutch it up right now? We've seen Vic do these kind of clutch moments in the past as the fragger of the duo, but Queasy is now forced to do everything by himself here. Can he fight for his tournament life here in game number 1?
Just one shot is all he needs to connect. He cannot let this surge activate. You see one shockwave running out of builds, no way to out-heal this, and a full team in front, Yuz and Sharkman, that are now looking back and putting their focus onto him as the zone just pulling further and further away. This is a max pull, and this is a moment for him to breathe. 21 above, so no current damage being taken, but look how far he has to go. Look how many players are now in his path.
He's already getting zapped once there. You saw it, so that means when he made that edit there and popped the shot, it did not connect. But since then, he's found a little bit more damage. Things are going back in his favor. Hey, if nothing else, can you go the distance and earn a little bit of placement points? That is the next question now. Even here, he's got the dead side of the rotate, but visuals and threats were already having that high ground, kind of recognizing there was a potential player in here on the outsides.
Ooh.
Oh, pressure's on.
Yeah, this is just tough. 160 plus below. Quickly looks back, lands a couple of shots, but still 122. And even if he somehow gets above the damage threshold, he needs resources. He needs an elimination. Booga and Braids on the other side go down outside of placement points, so only eliminations would be their score after this game. As Queasy goes down as well, Storm Surge is going to be forcing his hand to fight after fight, and eventually leads to his downfall.
Yeah, I think he earned like 2 placement points there as 25th just came through, so not the best game 1. Peterbot Boy on the other side, 5 eliminate. Oh, hold, wait a second, sorry. 7 eliminations, Jacob.
Just completely mowed him down with the mythic Warforged AR, Sphinx and Curly. It's just you're seeing once you get these max pulls and you start to fall below the damage threshold and you even choose to out-heal it, it just gets exponentially harder. See visuals, threats building on the high ground. Underneath them, Epic Whale and Pump. And in the mix as well, it's Venno and Agers. They have 1 elimination, and so far, you can see what it's done to their game so far.
Yeah, definitely running a bit light there. Threats and visuals play for the high ground very early right now, but there's no one else even close to contesting them, and they have a lot of loot to work with here. This is the kind of position you want to be in right now if you're looking to solidify your way straight through to the LAN event here. I still see big teams in the lobby though. Kingaling down low alongside Praise there. Venno and Angers trying to make a desperate rotate here, getting caught kind of on the way there. Angers falls first. Team inside the box. Zonda gets hit with 1. Venno misses the 2nd shot, and the Storm does the rest. All he's got to do is wait now, and he'll get that siphon here shortly. But instead, he goes on the hunt. Nicely done for him there.
Yeah, just really wasn't able to grab all of the builds. Just gets the siphon from the metal, so only 3 left. But he is headhunting right now. Batman Booga goes down, separated from Curve, and there's the refresh you need. He has a decently full Chug Jug, half materials, and a position to steal away more points.
I don't know what it is with Venno right now, but he has been playing some top-tier Fortnite lately. Meanwhile, Virgo and Shadow There's a lot to be asked of this duo here. They've been having a bit of a tough time in these types of set lobbies. As we talk about that, it's Venom who's the one putting down the punishing shots here. Now he's looking up for high ground. Why not? You know, why not disturb everyone else here in the lobby? Probably what he's thinking. There's another siphon that goes through. But look at this. No one yet has given threats and visuals any resistance up top.
Yeah, just seeing all this chaos down below. You can see even Epic, Well, and Pump kind of feeling what the pressure of the lobby is doing. Not a lot of material split between the two, but at least they're on the front side. A chance to look back and find any opportunities. On the flip side, though, Peterbot and Pollo coming from the other edge of that zone. It's even forcing them in moment by moment, but Veno is still going off. This is why you can kind of see him as the elimination leader in back-to-back majors.
I'm sorry, he's just different right now. He's just handling the NA region. I hate to say it. Pump and Epic Whale on the other side, coming from west. Back over to Central. We highlighted their ability to perform. We want to know, what are they going to be bringing to the region here? What level of play? Well, it looks like it's some exceptional play here, to say the least. This game one's looking very well. Meanwhile, back, of course, the Peterbot and Pollos, they're popping off here. 9 elims for them. Veno goes down. The high ground, though, still completely uncontested there.
Yeah, you got to imagine the lack of materials up above, but Pump gets taken down as well. Chris and Aloe trying to control the tempo down below. And even with Pump going down, you can see Epic Well still alive. He's trying to get as many of those resources as possible before Pump actually goes out and back to the lobby. King and Craze, similar position, one stuck as a solo, just trying to get the most out of this situation because he knows with the zone pushing in, he has to shockwave in.
This is when you know you've been on high ground for a hot minute. Threats has got barely any bullets left. He started it with about 300. Meanwhile, Peterbot and Pollo, they are really practicing for the land right now. I think they're deciding intentionally that they're going to play this mid-ground and really run up the numbers here, see what they are capable of, and stay in the action. And I love what we're witnessing. Peterbot's going to finally fall there to the hands of Epic Whale, but Pollo is still up and running.
Everyone's playing phenomenally from the World Cup, just for all the years he's put into this game, still finding success. But Pollo, he is the current reigning clutch champion in my book. Done it on land and figuring out a way to try to do it here again. Most of the lobby right now is stuck as solos. Epic Well as well with only 4 builds left. In front of him, a whole duo right behind. King is going to get that elimination and make it that much easier to get into the top 4.
Yeah, King's definitely one of those ones that you don't want to fight in the box here. This is where he, of course, performs best, but Pollo does as well. Pollo finds one. King's with a powerful shot in exchange there, but their focus needs to be on threats here if one of these surprise solos want to win the game here. All of a sudden now, King takes the fight up top. I think he also recognizes that they got to do it. Pollo's smart. He goes up. 1 mat left. The build gets broken. He's going to be able to clutch this if he can hit the shot here, but no! It's visuals in the end and threats who will find the final tag there.
Usually we're talking about as early as they took high ground, lack of materials, other teams shockwaving up, but none of that happened, and it played perfectly into the hands of visuals and threats. 6 games for today. One of them's already in the book, Zeke.
Kelly, this felt like the most nonchalant game of Fortnite I feel like I've seen in a long time. I'm so much more used to like the crazy, chaotic solo clutch. Everyone's jumping in each other's boxes, replacing walls, finding eliminations, and visuals and threats. They're just like, 8th zone, guys, we have height, and yeah, we'll just go ahead and walk away with the win, I guess.
And that's not to say that there wasn't the typical chaos that we're used to on low and middle ground, but usually some of that transfers to height. Someone tries to steal it, and then there's some kind of trading. Other people see that, oh, height's available, maybe I'm gonna, and then that kind of snowballs into the chaos that we can see for high ground. But yeah, no one looking up, visuals and threats, just easily controlling that all the way from first moving, Vivid.
Yeah, kind of surprising. I mean, we did see a couple of high ground teams. We saw Epic Whale and Pump kind of poised up to potentially fight for it, but they went ahead. They weren't interested. Peterbot and Pollo, obviously, a team that goes up for high ground a bunch of times as well. They were not up there in the mix, so visual and threats were feeling pretty comfortable up here. That being said, that comfort kind of ran out here in this last couple of moments because Visuals was left as a solo with just 70 HP on the back foot of Kingling, doing a lot of damage to the duo, but the shot is hit from the low game when the advantage was all Pollo's. And I thought we were going to get another one of those moments from Pollo, but unfortunately the odds were against them right there. But a great game number 1 for Visuals and Threats.
Viv, I was ready. I was ready to yell solo Polo, and it just didn't go that way. But again, It's fine. Everything's fine, right? We still got 5 more games of Fortnite. Remember, some players are playing for prize money. Well, there's only 2 spots for the global championship, so everyone else is looking at those like, please, we need to find ourselves in that top 2. But for now, a short break. When we return, we'll take a look at the standing, kind of see how things are going, and prepare ourselves for game number 2. So don't go anywhere.
I got hit. I'm popping in that bit. Wait, choke. Got 6 build? No, max up. Wait, if you're mid, wait. 100! 100! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Milk can help you grow. Milk can't prevent your ride from blasting into space.
Fortnite fam, welcome back to the FNCS. This is the GC Last Chance. This is the final opportunity to earn a spot going to the Global Championship, where only 2 spots are on the line. It's crazy. Game 1 went the way of Visual and Threats. Nice little high ground. You know, they held high ground from 8th zone on, led them to a nice little win. Things are going well for them, but obviously we have to take a look at our leaderboard, see how things are shaking out for every other duo. Remember, again, and I'm going to keep saying it, there's only 2 spots available moving forward. After game number 1, though, Peterbot, Poyo, Kelly, we find ourselves here once again. Peterbot and Poyo have already broken into triple digits after just game 1.
How is that even I mean, no, never mind. How is it possible? It's Peterbot and Poyo. That's how it's possible. They do it time and time again. And like the caster said, we thought that we were going to get that solo polo performance at the very end, but just barely missing out. However, Peterbot and Poyo look really strong, and they even look like they're potentially going to be going for high ground in this game, but kind of ended up sticking to the middle ground, which obviously worked out in their favor. They were able to grab so many more eliminations sticking to the mid ground, didn't really have to worry about too many people trying to attack them. And with that, they're now in first place in the top of our leaderboard, Vivid.
Yeah, that's the Peterbot and Poyo game we are used to seeing. 13 eliminations to go ahead and start the day off. And you did go ahead and mention it, right? MDF was kind of calling it out. The first time we actually saw them throughout this entire game. I think it was an 8th zone. They already had 7 eliminations, so they just did such a good job, even prior to the end game, just finding so many of those eliminations. But once these guys get to the end game, we know exactly what is going to be happening. Just all about those elims once they get into the mid ground and get a little bit comfortable. And Pollo, man, he put himself within grasping reach. The opportunity was there for him to actually go ahead and pick up this solo clutch. You could see visuals with one of those shots when all the builds were kind of falling right there was probably the decisive one. But a 2nd place and 13 eliminations for Peter Bond and Pollo, man. You gotta love to see it.
I think it was MDF called out earlier on in the game. There's some players here that are definitely looking to kind of get some practice in before the global championship. Peterbot Pollo is likely what's happening here. 2nd place visuals and threats. We did see them pick up game number 1. Wanted to highlight here Epic, Whale, and Pump. After just one game, we have a 5th place, 5 eliminations to kind of start off the day. Pretty strong start, and I mean they are looking for a spot, right, Kelly? So if we can keep this consistency going, if we can maybe just pick up a few more eliminations or even aim higher than a top 5, we could see them qualify.
Yeah, and similar to what we saw from Peterbot and Pollo in that end game, another team that kind of looked like they might have been staring at height a little bit, but sticking to the mid ground. And they definitely had a lot less mats than Peterbot and Pollo, so it makes more sense that they would stay in this position. They weren't really in the front side of mid, they were kind of staying in the back. And once again, that kind of worked out in their favor, able to get placement points, and Epic Whale also able to get just a few more eliminations. And obviously, people like to say that NA West is a lesser region than NA Central, so to see Epic Whale being able to come and represent the region so well, that's exactly what I want to see with Pump, of course. So good start from this duo.
Yeah, very good to see Epic Whale back on the big screen here for NAC specifically. And it was actually the first time we get to see him in quite a long time. It was actually a solo clutch for him, right? I think he went into that one as a solo around the 10th place mark. He went ahead and picked up that 5th place. So Epic Whale kind of proving once more, hey, listen, still a top competitor no matter what region he is playing on. And I mean, very excited to kind of see what Epic Whale and Pump are going to kind of prepare for the Global Championship.
Love to hear that. Let's talk about another duo, Kingling and Craze here in game number 1. Again, this is just game number 1, right? We have 5 more games, and we kind of like to joke sometimes that game 1 is like a feeler game, right? We go in, we see the meta within the meta of the competition, but Kingling and Craze have a pretty strong showing out of game number 1, right? Like, again, if we can just keep that consistency, if we can keep that momentum, Kelly, we might see this team qualify as well.
You know, out of all the teams that we have already qualified for the Global Championships, besides maybe Golden No Zone, I feel like Kingling and Craze are one of the duos that a lot of people don't give the respect that they necessarily deserve. And when these guys go on a tear, they are absolutely dominating. They're players that can easily go up against some of the biggest fraggers in 1v1s, even 1v2s. So to see Kingling and Craze not only make it to the end game, but also have a good solo performance as well, is exactly why they're not only in 3rd place, but also a contender for the Global Championship spot.
Yep, 3 duos currently rolling that qualification spot down. You can see Peterbot Pollo up there, Kingling, Craze, and then Epic Whale and Pump. So currently in 5th place, actually, we would have that qualification spot, but again, 5 more games to play. Agers and Venom, though, in 7th place. Man, listen, after an incredible run in Major 2 finals where, they had this opportunity to be, not this opportunity, but this faltering kind of position from the off-spawn situation where triple contested at their POI, but they still made it work. They still played incredibly well. So good to kind of see them back in action here. That being said, I mean, it was just Veno in form in this game here. You can see Agers went down quite early, and it was down to Veno as a solo to kind of keep things rolling, and he did just that.
I mean, there's not too much more to say there, Zeke, and if I'm not mistaken, there's no much more time to talk.
There isn't, Kelly. There isn't. Games are ready for us. I said something dumb. Don't worry about it. I just zeked it up. Don't worry about it. But that being said, game number 2 is just about ready for us. So why don't we kick it on over to the casters to get us good?
Monster, from Major 1 to the Summit to Major 2 and everything in between, one thing I've learned is time flies when you're having fun, and game 1 flew by quickly.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, the eliminations are definitely carrying the action when it comes down to the mid and the late games. We'll see how things are going to go in the early game, though. We saw some surprise battles happening. I think the biggest upset for sure was Ritual and Cold situation in that early game, Jacob. So I am curious how game 2 is going to play out.
Yeah, I think Veno and Agers kind of taught us that in Major 2. Just because you claim a drop spot doesn't mean teams are going to necessarily leave triple contested to start the day. Hopefully they can make up for it here and really show that changing drop spots, especially before the actual global championship, is worth it at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you have very few chances to play this level of lobby. So here with the game 2, let's jump on that battle bus.
Games are flying by. This is game 2, and honestly, I wouldn't necessarily say that anybody's drop spot is safe, with this being the literal last chance to keep your FNCS alive and continue on to the global championship. I feel like players today, every single duo needs to leave nothing on the table. No regrets when it's said and done.
Yeah, definitely can't leave anything on the table, Jacob. This is their last opportunities here and now. And hey, look, with one game down, it's gonna go by faster than they even expect. Either way, though, we have to take a look at what's happening here. Cold, once again, being the first to take a little bit of damage here. Getting slightly bested on the drop, but overall, they seem to be in much better shape than game 1.
Yep. See, on the other side, though, they're just kind of push forward. Not even wasting time healing up, just trying to get as much information as possible, lurk around. They do have most of the POI underneath their control in terms of positioning. Cold getting spotted out, information being relayed over, and that could be their chance to hit a 1v2, but without actual eyes on Ritual, that's what keeps them guessing.
Yep. Wrestler's going to get that first opening tag there, but nothing really truly connects there. Either way, this is going to force things to stall out a bit here, but if you give Cold and Ritual too much time, they don't get their situation sorted. It's only going to be worse for them later. Meanwhile, you see Vert not too far off in the distance. They're surely going to be coming back around here in a couple moments. There it is. Cold initiates. Big tag here. We have Pryor on the run. Going to be able to get away. Okay, he's moving though. He's gone. He makes it to the roof here. Cold and Ritual start getting tagged up now. Ritual gets the finish there.
I feel like if only if he would have had some help. See his teammate shockwaving away, taking too much damage to start the actual fight. He had no choice, but if he had a little bit of help, he was doing a good job of fighting back. But those third-party shots that you were alluding to, finally coming in, that's going to slow them down and just kind of refocus Ritual and Cold. We won the fight. We can chase for the solo, but there's still danger and risk all around the map.
Saw right before we jumped off there, though, Magma's team started lurking on that duo as well. Meanwhile, Veno and Agers here controlling things at the Battlewood. Have Chance right now on the run alongside Madden. It's going to be some really big damage for them here to kind of kick this thing off. Saw last game they ended up rotating pretty far west, kind of playing the coastal area, ending up in a fight. A little bit of a skirmish against Higgs and his duo potentially. See how flexible they end up playing this one out. Meanwhile, jumping to a couple of highlights here. Liam, no Veer in sight, finds a huge shot on Tiamso, and then does he get the finish here? He follows up, he sees Josh, and actually finishes Josh off as well. What a little chain of eliminations there.
Yeah, I feel like Josh Yamso more so playing to make sure Liam and Veer don't qualify to the global championship. One less team to worry about, especially on a drop spot that they are contested. Doesn't necessarily work out this time. 8 good points for Liam and Veer. And they're a team that we've had seen shines of greatness today. We're going to see shines of greatness from them from Major 2 as well. And even before that, they just need to be able to put it together. Still 5 more games, including this one, as we continue to look around the map. 81 players still up, so this one's just a little bit more active than we have seen in that last game.
Eliminations are surely picking up here. 8 full duos taken out. Not Peterbot and Boyo, though. Their early game was very interesting. We saw them kind of set up in that massive metal tower. And I was thinking we were going to see a little bit more of a passive play. But I don't know who's calling the shots. When they ended up, wherever they ended up in the end game, they were popping off. They didn't even bother looking up to high ground, though, which was really interesting as well. So they surely had the material to do so.
Probably same plan as usual. Go for the Warforge. Don't stray too far off. But Higgs and Curve, we saw it for Major 2. They threatened to potentially go for this Mythic Pistol. And right now they're taking the fight. Victor, B, and Queasy. With a not a solid performance in Game 1 for Victor, B, and Queasy, it's almost a make or break moment here. They need to be able to survive this and get deep into this game, because having 2 mistakes, 2 bad starts to the entire tournament puts your back fully up against the wall.
Yeah, and even though they didn't finish the fight, what I really respect about Batman, Booga, and Curve right now is that they have the withal to know, hey, this is Victor V and Queasy. Our ambush didn't work. Let's get out of here. We respect them that much. So it really just shows again that Batman, Booga, and Curve's game plan right now, they have a bigger picture. They're trying to play for the LAN event that is coming up. You got to respect, again, teams that are willing to, you know, put it all in the line right there. But Victor and Queasy have a much different fight in front of them. They need to qualify, of course. This is a pretty wild tournament, right? When you really think about how everyone has something just different at stake and just much different game plans.
Almost feel like the way this is almost going down, with the way King and Craze are playing, the way Peterbot and Poyo, they go down there, get the elimination, they dodge Smiley and Max, but now they're getting the scraps of whatever's left on over. So it almost seems like a situation here today with some of the rollout spots kind of affecting the lobby, where you have that mental game where, do you let these guys kind of run around the lobby, get their eliminations, and you kind of escape with placements, or do you try to join into that mix and get some eliminations of your own?
This is just a make either way. Step it down to the cluster coast. Looks like we got another western zone goal too, by the way. Rets and visuals are the ones here. Still can't believe they were completely uncontested on high ground last game, considering how many teams need to be playing for the 2 best consistent spots in order to make a LAN event. If you're not playing or putting up high ground performances like that, you can kiss the opportunity goodbye. So good for them here. 6 med kits. Already know the strat. They're going to be here for a while.
Yep. Checking around the map. See Slepsy's Wagers in the distance. Smiley and Max kind of rotating through. And then Money, Maker, and Fanayan. 6 points so far. Probably a mix of placement, elimination, or just full placement in that last game. I know Vivid kind of broke it down, what they did in Major 2, how they lurked all around the map. I think I saw like 5 different drop spots in that pre-show. And Fanayan saying that's not going to be what we're going to do in order to qualify for the Global Championship. We have to play more of a sound game. And I think so far for these first 2, it's the game plan that they're sticking to.
Yeah. And I'm kind of bummed to see them go a little bit more of a traditional route. They were definitely keeping us entertained, how dynamic they were playing. Dash and Oxy, a team that, of course, is very much experienced with set lobbies. There's a lot of work cut out for them. Also only earning 12 points in game number 1, so not the best start for them, but better than being zeroed out.
Even though it's still relatively early, but when you kind of see that it's slowing down just a little bit, a good chunk of the teams at the Battle Woods, you almost just got to hope you're enough above the damage threshold so that when we start to get into these moving zones, the half and half, so that's when you can start to make your play. You can see a potential lurk setting up at the Battle Woods, but you see the constant action all around. Osid and Vert that lands just outside on this mountain of Latte. They have a couple of options here in terms of teams that they could potentially try to focus on, but they just got to be careful because they themselves have to rotate the zone after this.
Gotta hit those shots, though. More importantly, in Osid, they missed 2 pretty important ones right now. It's Curly and Sphinx, ones that barely get away there. Jumping back with Dash and Noxy here. A bit of a scrappy fight breaking out. Seems like against Madden, down low, gets the best of Dash. That's gonna set them back big time, by the way. Don't think they got into any scraps before that, so losing that much damage, surely he's going to end up catching up to them. We'll see when the Storm Surge starts giving out the trigger warnings.
Yeah, and this is where it's tough. Like I was talking about, Battlewood getting so crowded. They're in actually one of the buildings, so they're not going to be able to get too much surge from far away in your normal surge-based type scenarios, which leads me to believe if you do want surge here and now, if you do find yourself below it, you might have to go and take that rematch against Madden and his duo, the ones who kind of landed that big shot, put you in that scenario in the first place. It's Icy, Decay, 56 points. Kind of within range of that bubble. You can kind of probably hear the shots being fired off, and they're looking in that direction, or at least for now.
61 of these players have the chance to qualify for their first FNCS LAN final. You see it there. Love to see it. So much pressure on the line here. Ooh, great little opening tag there for Decay, by the way. Right onto Cyclops. Takes no time wasted here to jump up on him. Be a great job to pick up the Siphon, by the way. No whites in his loadout, so it's all up to Icy if he's got a chug or something to share.
Just trying to see right now, the DK and Icy. I know we talked a little bit, right, about Epic Will and Pump coming on over from NA West. They won Major 2. DK, we know him for this region, Central, East, depending on how far back your memory goes. Icy is an actual NA West player. He's gotten second in divisional cups, and now we're seeing him at the top of the leaderboard, at least inside of the top 10 for Game 1, and they're hunting for eliminations. They're hunting for that Storm Surge here. They realize they've taken way too much damage. 10 HP for DK. They're immediately trying to charge their way over to that mending machine, and they get there literally just in time.
Oh. Is there really enough time? We'll see if Icy can get his med kit off there before the other team pushes him, because they're also coming in pretty quickly, needing the same exact thing, and they read the feed. They recognize what's happening, and this is not good at all. Decay is going to be left here, while Ace and Dark don't even worry about the thirst, by the way. They know that they got to stop this player from healing here.
Big chances here. That's slowly but surely going out the window. DK actually did go down. So it does look like it's going to be Icy all by himself. I'm not sure how much actual HP he does have left. He's almost going to need a miracle. No extra gold. 76 below the damage threshold. The odds are all stacking against him. Even though you see it kind of alleviate a little bit from 76 to 47, that's just other teams getting active, and it returns right back to normal. 20 seconds or less is all he has to make a move.
It's tough. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, actually, if Dark or Ace here were the last to do damage, obviously they get the elimination credit and the knock either way, so that's the whole telltale sign there. Look at this, Icy. Okay, a monster shot onto Dark. Not enough to actually get the full clutch here onto Ace, unfortunately, but had he got the Siphon, he would have been in a fighter's chance there. Either way, Ace and Dark come out ahead. They needed those points there. That was quite the fight.
It definitely was, and it's just one of those fights for Icy and DK. You get sent back to the lobby. Things happen. It's 6 games, but you start to go ahead and question the mental composure for some of these teams, and I think this is a team that you really start to have to look at. Going down here in Game 2 is Encrypted HQ. They don't land too far from Lifty Lodge, a little split drop just south of it, and they're one of the first teams to try to make it up that mountain. They know elevation helps tenfold, especially with the possibility of the zone going up and down these zones in the moving portions of the game.
More concerned if I were them, with Agers and Veno right below them. They'd likely be interested in playing for some prime positioning up top. Meanwhile, Peter Boya already at 2 Elans, kind of doing what they need to do, sitting on quite the refresher there. And off they go. There's actually another solo kind of lurking in the mist there, so I wonder if they showed up just in time to actually third-party that team. Either way, there's Rapid in the distance, still playing his game out by himself. Commendable performance so far, just staying in the conversation.
So it's got to be unfortunate, but they actually go straight into the tunnel instead of shockwaving over towards the left, towards Battlewood. They're just hoping the eastern side of this zone is a little bit less crowded than just kind of moving up all the way on the southern edge. Remember, we're going over towards those Lifty Lodge mountains, so even if they get in the zone here, it can continue to pull towards the north. 633 above the damage threshold, though. Very, very little for them to actually worry about other than just staying healthy.
Great shockwave so far. So how far out they were, though. Now the zone's really starting to pick up damage here. Zone 6. things get a bit scary. Polio kind of leading the charge here. There's another shockwave to get them on in, and they're a little bit of a downtime here to kind of figure things out. 600 damage above though, plenty to work with. So on the feed there, Rapid actually just took down Zonda on that rotate too, mind you. So Rapid still putting up numbers by himself. Meanwhile, Threat's visuals getting back to them. How did it go for them? A fight in the bush is never one you want to take. Can visuals do anything big? Unfortunately, he can't. He falls to Chance and Tyler there. That's going to end their momentum. And that just shows you how fast things can change at the top. From 77 points now, put directly on ice.
Yeah, just goes to show uncontested isn't always everything. You get one of the farthest pulls in all of the lobby. Not able to really plan for the surge. See, at least their downfall. King and Craze trying to do the exact opposite. From Calamari Canyon all the way towards the north, 513 above that damage threshold. They've elevated themselves pretty well here to continue to put down pressure. Diego, Ultra, it almost looks like Peter Bot, Pollo in the mix as well. All of them being distracted. Peter Bot falls, cleaned up as well. Ultra's down. So again, another situation where Pollo is left as a solo.
Yeah, this is a tough spot to be in, you know? They had that rotate. You saw that they had to move with the herd there towards the end, but he had plenty of shockwaves, so actually more surprised to get eliminated there. Either way, they find themselves with 4 eliminations. Now Pollo closing in potentially on some placement points here. Extra shockwaves picked up there. Excellent job, especially considering he's full recap on material. He is still in this game, very much so at the moment. Count him out. I was actually looking for where Higgs and Curve might have went. They kind of got this favorable zone pool here. Haven't quite seen them just yet in the action.
Yeah, I gotta imagine they gotta be stacked up on materials, but looking at the feed, you see Cold, Ritual down, Magma taken down by Coop. A lot of focus on the backside of zone for Pollo. Just trying to figure out a way out, because you have to continue moving forward. And you're already seeing a couple teams start their rotation ahead of them. And as a solo, that's going to put you in a tough situation, giving teams the luxury to look back and spot you out.
Luka Braids, big rotate here. Game 1, only giving them 4 points. Or sorry, this is their actual first 4 points from Braids being earned there. Saw on the feed Victor V final elimination. Now they're in the crosshairs of Booga and Braids here. QK duo right above Victor V and Queasy there. Meanwhile, Jemity kind of moving up on Booga's territory here. He's thinking about making a move right now, but they're 85 below, so still needing to get active here shortly. Let's see if they can find some damage here, find themselves in trouble.
Yeah, step 1 of that journey is just get as close to the front side of the zone as possible. Give yourself time to wonder where they're at. Pre-edit does come in. Queasy and Victor V actually do get separated them for a moment, but they fly above that damage threshold by 31. They don't want to take an ill-advised shot. One shot can immediately put them on the back foot. And while everybody down below is distracted, Slepsy and Wagers have took it upon themselves to take height early.
Which is wild, because with Victor and Queasy still in the game, you know they're thinking about timing it, but this is such an odd zone. Veno, Agers kind of fighting their way through the mid-ground layer here. It's King and Craze who now have attracted their attention. This could be a big mistake for Veno, though. It's a reason King and Craze are highly regarded as one of the best fighting duos here on the region right now. Agers, Veno kind of back off, probably sensing a little bit of danger. King knows better to let his guard down, though.
Yeah, I think the fact that they didn't really land damage goes to show that they might be fighting somebody that's just a little bit too early in the game to be taking that risk. And we're going back up the mountain just a little bit south of Lifty Lost, Slepsy and Wagers. They took high ground early, and if they're not going over recycled builds, they can easily try to look down on all the teams down below, get them to expend their materials as fast as possible. They have the Spire, 50 in the clip. You could spray for a long time, especially if you do have 2.
The way the zone's kind of pulling weird like that, it's costing them a lot of material. Slepsy's putting like 4 cones down every time they move a square forwards. That's going to end up catching up to them. Meanwhile, Kingling, Craze, they've kind of slowly worked their way up and over this mountain here. Kind of, I'd say probably 2nd to 3rd height situation right now. They have a lot of options to play with. Meanwhile, Booga and Braids already picked up another elim, but they're out of material. They still need a refresh here. Down to low ground they go. Shots coming in from the side, nothing to protect themselves. Dash and Noxy find a great tag there. It's all up to Braids now.
Yeah, and you can see with zero materials, he does have the 2 shockwaves, but that comes with a risk in itself, flying through the sky. Slepsy Wager still up top. We have Agers, Veno climbing that ladder, and a few other teams as well. Boyo ran out of builds, similar to Braid's situation he's in, just trying to find any nook and cranny, too high zone, kind of opening up to his benefit, allowing him for a couple of extra seconds, shockwaving up, trying to take the fight to them. It all comes crashing down, but for Boyo, he's not able to land any game-defining shots until now. He gets the knock on the Craze, but he can't clean any of it up. He gets one. That's not even his original elimination.
No, but he gets the siphon material there. Now he's back in the game here. 1 mini pop, and that's enough for him to work with something. Boyo is just insane with the reaction speed there and the accuracy to back it up. To the front side he goes, but again, he needs an elimination here. Can he find another?
Yeah, there's 9 different solo players all stacked in this lobby, making it easier for Slepsies and Wagers to breathe, assess the situation. They're not going through what Veno and Poyo are going through on the low ground, which is complete and utter madness. Does look like Curve is going to be able to take down Shadow. Poyo just grabbing scraps before he gets to the front side of zone. That's a big shot onto Curve, but immediately forced back down below.
Look at this. I think he knows there's a player in front of him inside the cone. That's a weird place cone that just finished building. We'll see if he ends up going for it. F9's end up falling there. Moneymaker gets finished up too. Veno just watching from the backside of zone here, recognizing, okay, there's a team up top. There's nothing I can do about them. They seem overly positioned. He's going to have to force his focus down low. Boyo finally falls inside the top 10 though. And things are now going up this very weird terrain here.
Yeah, this one's going to be a nightmare for anybody involved, having to make it up that mountain. You even see Yuz, Sharkman trying to get the elimination onto Owlet, but they have no shockwaves to create that distance and move their way up that ladder. Veno finds another elimination, back-to-back games, Monster, where he's going on an absolute terror in these lobbies, even sneaking his way through. One of many solos in this game, but that run is eventually going to come to an end, but I might have spoke too soon. Yuz goes down, Sharkman's still alive, but Veno's the one putting on the show.
And again, he's got all that extra little bit of info, right? He already read the zone perfectly, a top 4 for him. He's just clutching up at the end of the day. It is so impressive to watch what he is doing. Wagers and Slepsy, meanwhile, by the way, that high ground, perfect. Their only elimination that they need secures them the win now.
And surprising enough, in back-to-back games, Monster, we have a team take high ground early and nobody look up. Nobody try to contest it. And so for Slepsies and Wagers, they just kind of cakewalk their way into a Game 2 victory royale, Zeke.
Okay. That's the kind of chaos I was waiting for. That's the kind of chaos I live for. Man, oh man, some crazy clutches across the board, but to see them pick up that victory royale, again, we're trying to look to qualify, or maybe we're trying to play for money. Slepsy, Wagers, we've got momentum, right? With 4 games left to go, we got to make something happen. But again, Kelly, we love these moments. We love those moments where we get a victory out. Just instills so much confidence in the duo.
It's very true. Although it's interesting you say that that's the chaos you want to see, because in game number 1, you were talking about how there was just no chaos for the high ground. And that was kind of the same situation that we had for this game right now. I don't know if everyone has neck injuries and people are just having a hard time looking up. I'm not too certain what is going on right now. But for Wagers and Slepsy, just chilling on height from first moving and doing a great job controlling it. But of course, there was a lot of action going on the low ground as well. But we'll probably be looking at that after the break. But for right now, Wagers and Slepsy, not only did they have height, Vivid, they had a huge height.
Yeah, I mean, they did not get looked at a single time throughout this end game. And there was a moment, it didn't come until the final moments of the game, where we actually went ahead and took a look at how they were doing, their loadout. And here it is right here. 0 eliminations all the way down until there was just a solo. How? How is it possible for Slepsy and Wagers to control the higher ground without a single elimination? Listen, Slepsy and Wagers, I am so happy for you guys, but I am calling out everybody that's playing in this lobby. Got to start looking up, man. We got to start looking up.
Yeah, it feels like a lot of the players are just kind of looking to fight, right? Like even like Veno running around super low ground kind of was the only one who maybe tried to make that play for height, but I agree, Vivid and Kelly. We need to start looking up the high ground. It's too free right now. We need to do something about that. We're going to go to short break. When we come back, we'll take a look at the leaderboard and something a little special for you. We'll see you in just a moment.
It's Pixie, it's Barry, it's
go ahead and open that one off. I'm popping in that bit. Wait, short. Got 6 builds? No, max up.
Wait, if you're mid, wait.
100! 100! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Milk can help you grow. Milk can't prevent your ride from blasting into space.
Fortnite fan, welcome back to the GC Last Chance, the final opportunity to earn one of only 2 spots going to the Global Championship. It's going to get crazier. Game number 2 went the way of Slubsy and Wager. Again, kind of similar sort of game number 1. No one was looking up on height, and they just walked away with it. So shout out to them. VR is awesome. And as Vivid called out, we need to maybe start looking up, okay? Everyone in the lobby, start looking up. Now, I did mention something special. That in just a moment. First, wanted to highlight these standings for you. Let's take a look at our leaderboard, see how things are going just after 2 games. So, Kelly, I talked a lot there. Peter Boyo, currently in the number 1 spot still.
Oh, that was it. Okay, sorry. I thought you were going to keep talking. I'm just so used to you talking. I thought that this was a show for me to watch. No, AJ and Veno jumping up into 2nd place, just below Peterbot and Poyo. And honestly, that was definitely on the back of Veno. Another solo performance from him. And my goodness, was he showing up in that game. But of course, we have some other names jumping up. Slupsy and Wagers, the winner of that game, jumping up all the way to 4th place. And just looking at the list right now, Vivid, it really looks like a lot of our top teams that have already qualified aren't going to be, besides Peter Bon Pollo, aren't going to really be in the top of that spot. So it might be some names in like our top 5 that qualify to global championships.
You did kind of see the importance of keeping it consistent, as we did see visuals and threads kind of drop down a couple of placements there as well. But like we like to talk about, still 4 games left to play.
That's right. So the special thing, we're coming back to that. So first off, massive shout outs to production. They put together a really cool leaderboard for us. So that first leaderboard we just saw is like maybe a little confusing sometimes, right? Because you're like, hey, I'm watching this, and I know you, Zeke, you've said some people qualified, but it's hard to tell maybe who has or who hasn't qualified. Timmy, look what production built just for you. We have a leaderboard that is going to show us just the players who are looking to qualify. So when we look at this list, just take a look at the top 2. These are removed all the names who have already qualified. So H-Hoop, Encrypted, Slepsy, and Wagers currently fighting for both of those spots. Kelly, kind of going back to what you said, up to 14th places off of just the 1 game. This is huge for the duo.
And I mean, look at how close we are. Yes, just 2 games, but to just set the story, I mean, 97, 96, 94 points between 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place. And we've seen Yuz and Sharkman really kind of show up for the first time kind of in Major, too. A lot of people looking to this duo to potentially be a new shining star as far as our newer teams go. And to see them once again have that opportunity, that contention of getting into the Global Championships, that's just what I love to see. And now getting a quicker look at Yuz and Sharkman and how they performed in that game really seems like they're one of the teams that does like to stick to low and handle that aggression. But of course, in that chaos, eventually you're going to go up against someone like Veno, and that's just a rough situation.
Yeah, I mean, Yells and Sharkman having a great game number 2 here, third place with just 2 eliminations. We're starting to see some of these teams that are not necessarily qualified yet struggling to potentially get some of those eliminations. We know that can for sure be the difference maker. With that being said, right, we do see a bunch of teams up here. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at some of the other teams who are kind of further down the leaderboard. They've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, man. Again, and look, you called it out, right? We still have 4 more games left to go. 17th place, Booga Braids. Man, up to 23 places after the 2 games, right? But just like you called out, the job's not done. We do have 4 more games to try and make something happen. It's going to be an uphill battle for sure, Kelly. But look, we still have 4 games. And I want to continue to harp on that because you can make anything happen. As Fortnite has showed us in the past, anything can and will happen.
Listen, they already went up 23 places after that last game. If they just do that again, they'll be in first place. So I think that there is, maybe not first place is within their grasp currently, but there is still a lot of possibility, a lot of opportunity if they kind of just end changing up their game plan. Unfortunately, once again, Braids a solo. I believe Booga was a solo in game number 1, so them just not being able to stick together in these final moments seems to be the big hitch in their armor.
I love coming back here to first page again. So once again, just a massive shout out to production. Appreciate y'all. A look at the players. Again, we've removed the players who have already qualified. They're still here. Don't worry. They're still looking like Peter Bob still in first place. Don't worry about it. But players looking to qualify here out of, just the 2 spots available. Dash and Noxy, again, we're going to continue to watch these numbers on that left side. Not the placement, but the one right over. 9 placements up for Dash and Nox. We talked about them at the beginning of the show. With 4 games left to go, friends, where do we feel like these players are at? Or we feel like we need to maybe try and target some consistency, Kelly? Do we feel like maybe just throw caution to the wind, go all in with only 2 spots? We got to make something happen? What do you think?
Oh, gosh, I'm not too certain for a lot of these players right now. They're going not necessarily just against themselves, but against the lobby too. So it's not necessarily what can they do better, but what is everyone else doing around them? And with these one-day formats, you don't really have the opportunity to kind of be reviewing. Hopefully their coaches are reviewing currently, and they're going to be able to give them some kind of lead, some kind of idea on how to change up their strategies if they are kind of in the lower part of that leaderboard. But again, it's a one-day tournament. There's only so many changes these players can make confidently.
The struggling thing here for a lot of our teams, the thing that's going to be frustrating is that when you take a look towards the top of the leaderboard, actually the non-qualified teams are just playing so well. They're the only teams that actually pick up a victory royale so far, with 2 of those teams kind of winning those first 2 games. I mean, HQ have been encrypted, 114 points, Subsea Wagers, 97 points for them as well. Listen, these are the teams that are supposed to not be doing all that well, right? It's supposed to be this race. We kind of talked about the qualifying spots, potentially rolling all the way down to top 12. They got to be top 4 right now. So it's going to be super frustrating. All of these teams just have to play super, super good.
So true, man. And I love that you call out the players that have already qualified, right? That's going to continue to impact this leaderboard game to game. With that being said, the next game is ready for us. Game number 3. Casters, take it away.
I love the way you broke that down there, Vivid, because you just broke it down perfectly. The non-qualified teams are the ones winning the games here, Jacob. It's like history repeats itself. And history, talk about EU, just finished. It's the non-qual teams popping off right now.
And honestly, you could kind of look at some of those teams that that already have their spot. They siphon points away from the rest of the lobby. Even though there are certain instances, it's really leaving it into the hands for the teams that need that global championship to have a consistent 6 games. And with 2 games already done, if you're one of those teams that are a little bit further down on the leaderboard, you might need to get a couple more eliminations. You may not need to get the actual victory royale, but you need to start working on closing that gap.
Yeah, no one at the top at the moment has played perfect Fortnite. Everyone has had some little bit of mistakes. Again, with 2 games down, though, we get to jump in here for game number 3.
Opportunities for the global championship are flying by. We're almost halfway through the tournament and 2 spots up for grabs, and we've already seen some drop spots being switched up, triple contested, other spots that were supposed to be uncontested coming into this game, and with those roll down spots in effect, it's still anyone's tournament to win and qualify to the global championship.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have the leaderboard open on the side. I will be paying close attention as we start jumping into these rounds here. back on over to that good early game action, though. Ritual and Cold here, of course, are going to be one of the teams we're going to be looking out for. Again, although Ritual and Cold were off to a much hotter start there, they're still very far down the standing so far here in the tournament. Just 4 points earned. Not something we're really used to seeing, but this is a big upset right now for Jace. Jace, who had just jumped up like 20 or 30 spots in the last game, finds himself eliminated early here to the hands of Ishu and Dozier.
Yeah, you can see Skittles just trying to do what he can, farm up just a little bit. That way he can play for piece control. Doesn't get it there, but does land one shot. The numbers game is what's going to do a little bit of those mind tricks. I'm not sure if they actually know where Jace is at, and Skittles using that to his advantage. Catches Ishu slipping.
Yes, it's pretty tough. I mean, if you're Skittles, they went from 44th place in game number 1 to 2nd place right behind it. So a huge jump for them to kind of stay and find their way into this tournament. For Dozier and Ishu, I mean, the story's the opposite. They started off very strong, then had a tough contested fight there in game number 2. So this fight right here means everything for these duos.
And you can kind of see both of them being very, very weary. I saw Dozier kind of look towards the backs, and then a whole nother team are out there. And if you see in the mini-map, somebody's already swimming across the water to get a flank onto the chop shop. So I think Dozier maybe 1, 2, maybe even 3 steps ahead of the rest of the competition on this side of the map, because he realizes as a solo, there's a huge amount of pressure on him to survive.
Yeah, definitely. Especially after game 2 being the first team to get eliminated. You don't want to end up in that situation again. Jumping in with Sphinx and Curly, who are at 28 points. Just a foot in the race right now. Haven't really been able to hit the track going to get far here. Last game, they fell before the placement points were issued out, meaning that they had a bit of a tough time with the Storm Surge in their mid-game rotates. See what they can do here, Jacob, to kind of patch up their gameplay and take it a little bit further.
Yeah, just kind of hoping for them and maybe other teams that land around this side of the map, just to ease up pressure where those zone pools continue to kind of see who gets the farther pull out of everybody. And kind of look around the map. Peterbot, Poyo. I'm not sure why Poyo has a little bit of HP missing, but it's also no worries for them either. Uncontested drop. Thing about this here is now that they have access to this mythic Lancehead pistol, if you go ahead, rescue the dog like he's doing, he's not worried about the shield and HP, because all you have to do is give a little pet. Everybody loves a puppy. Everybody loves a dog. Just give him a little pet monster and you get full HP and shield.
Definitely, and I mean, this is the person who's deserving most of it. For sure, the MVP of the tournament so far. There goes that HP coming through. And, you know, he's got the mythic rifle as well for good reason. We'll see how far they end up pushing it this go around. Oh, look at this, though. Wagers. This is a terrible position to be in. Okay, I was going to say, you go from obviously winning your last game to now being targeted, potentially pinched there, but gets out.
You know, Dozier's just getting chased by Moneymaker and Fanayan. A lot of teams probably hearing, knowing that this is a contested fight right out of the gates. Probably looking at the feed, realizing, wait, only one of each team actually got down. This is their chance to move on over, and that's a chance that Moneymaker and Fanayan cash in on. They get that elimination there, but most importantly is the surge, easing up the pressure on their game here early on.
Listen, I'm going to say something, this might be controversial, but Moneymaker and Fanayan are the most dangerous duo to be around. After you saw what they did in the grand finals with how much strategies they had for 5 different locations, you don't think they know how to lurk on every team nearby them? You're crazy. I'm not going to be feeling comfortable at all if a duo like them were near me. That's for sure.
Especially if you look at the leaderboard and see that they might be in the hunt, in the race. You almost got to have eyes in the back of your head to make sure you don't get flanked up. But from the Golden Grove, Booga Braids lurking on down, just trying to grab the boss. If not for the actual Mythic, it does come with some extra heals as well. Just like Victor V. Queasy, kind of why they actually choose the drop spot here, so north on the map. It's not an actual POI, a split drop, but it's just to get that Mythic pistol in the hands of Victor V. We've seen it all the way through Major 2, even till here, the amount of damage he puts out on the entire lobby by having that in his loadout.
Yeah, he's been one of the most star individual players I think we've seen for sure, especially in recent times. And notice one thing that they're doing really well right now. Victor is not letting his guard down. He keeps flashing backwards, just looking, making sure there's no one lurking up on him. He already had a little taste of the medicine with the Veno lurk. He got a bit of it last game from, of course, Curve and Higgs there, but just trying to make sure they stay on their toes here. Meanwhile, jumping into that man, Booga and Curve here. Looking for them. They got a team kind of off on the side. Carillion, they've already won that fight in the first game one. Kind of going back to that initial outskirts rotate strategy.
You can almost see that the zone itself is kind of impacting a little bit of the decisions teams are making. You mentioned game one, they actually fought. The zone was kind of favoring that direction. Game two as well. This time with it pulling further and further away, it's kind of in the back of their mind, something to worry about. His Wagers by himself. Slepsy just getting eliminated, so some extra time on the reboot card, but for Neo and Sinetto, they know he's here, hiding in the cone, and that's why he's immediately breaking out, trying to build some extra space, give him some room to work with, because he knows surviving against Neo and Sinetto are not going to be easy. Continuing pressure from up above, they're getting him to burn through his materials as well. Almost 300 mats left.
I mean, being the leading duo, like for Wagers right now, as the unqualified duo with the most points right now, this is perfect for everyone else if they go down here. But if Wagers manages to slip away somehow or clutch up here, I mean, this is going to spell disaster for everyone else. But it's just not looking likely. Neo, Sinetto are so healthy here. They have so many different ways they can play this. The zone's going to do the rest. There it is. The clock just ticks. And Wagers goes down. And oh, salt on the wound there. The dance moves coming out of Sinetto there. Just to really remind them what the situation's looking like here.
There was only a 1-point difference, too, between Slepsy Wagers and the next best team, which was Yuz and Sharkman. So we're going to have some positions on that leaderboard, twist and turn just a little bit. We're going to tune into Osid, Vert, not too far away from Veno and Agers. I'm not sure if they have the actual information of who it is trying to jump on him, but I wish they got the information because this is a team like any other. Veno, Agers, they not only know how to play these quick box-to-box fights, they know how to play distance, they know how to play separate. You can see Veno just trying to take that extra angle again, something we've seen him do through the first 2 games already.
You know, one day, 5 years in the future, there's going to be in-game voice comps, and you're going to know it's Veno outside your walls. It's going to be a problem. But for now, like you mentioned, Osin and Vert just have to play this one by instinct. Little do they know, it is a very dangerous duo there.
Got constant action all around the map, both in and outside of the zone. Cyclops Light, 28 points. Talked about their success in these open rounds. They just need to be able to channel that here. And they're going against Liam, who's by himself. They end up in the box. Gets a good amount of damage onto Cyclops, but not enough to get the elimination. Him and Light are going to complete the wipe. That is 4 eliminations so far for them. A huge pick-me-up game opportunity before the half.
Yeah, definitely a nice situation to be in right now. Big 4 elims for sure is a momentum shifter. One game can put any team like this right back into the race here in the conversation. All we need now is nice little endgame visuals and threats. Already flexed out their capabilities, their willingness to, of course, play for that win, go for the high ground. It's kind of interesting, right? Like, you saw how some teams felt like they were, let's just call it unlucky, right? That Western pool zone. How does it end up working out? What can you really do? This zone's completely different, but look, visuals and threats are here early, already positioned up. They seem to just be playing for key positioning, and honestly, it's working very well for them so far.
It's just a huge kind of pressure off their chest. Last couple games, they've almost had the max pull in the lobby as Batman Booga and Curve sneak up on a whole nother team at Heatwave Harbor. Clean up one of those eliminations, no knock, so the team did get wiped. The other one rotating back on over towards the western side of Heatwave Harbor. We have a solo scurrying around here as well. That's going to be Noise. So for Higgs and Curve, they got that one elimination, which kind of helps their surge, and now they have options here with the zone not too far away. They spot out Noise, good damage there, and I'm not sure he's going to have any time to heal up. There's Curve on one side, Higgs on the other. Get the second elimination of this game.
Keep in mind, too, they initiated with a bad shockwave. Curve was sent out to the side. He still secures the elimination with the pistol there from range, just flexing at this point, really. 2 nice little elims there. Some counter shots come in though. Higgs is going to be forced to kind of slow down. They're going to heal up, but they're very much ahead right now. Meanwhile, the biggest upset so far for Cold and Ritual is the fact that they've only earned 4 points coming out of the first 2 games. Here on out, from here on out, you know, realistically, they should be dominating. You know, if the law of averages are true, we're going to see them destroy the next 4 games for sure.
Just a much different kind of early game that I'm seeing, contested or not. I feel like they would have in kind of different scenarios, play a little bit more aggressive, but kind of a passive game plan. Kind of similar that we were talking about game 1, seeing Peterbot and Poyo just kind of sit on top of Sinister Strip. Obviously, we saw how that game turned out when it finished, 13 eliminations for them, but they definitely picked up the pace. As we jump aboard H-Cube and Encrypted, and the funny thing about this team, Monsters, is they were a duo for quite a while. They went their separate ways. It didn't work out for them in the first qualifier, so with only 1 chance left, they said, hey, let's reunite, make the best of this situation. They not only make it here to the finals, but they are on and inside of the bubble.
Take a look at this action here. Venom and Aegis right now on top of Magma. Magma jumps out with a surprise attack but misses the important shot. And Venom has punished every duo that has missed a counter shot onto him so far today. And he just continues to run up the numbers right now. He's playing with such confidence here.
I just have one question for you. Over or under 35 eliminations? And that's just how many he got in the Major 2 finals through 12 games. And that's just kind of the track right now that Veno's going on. I wouldn't necessarily be surprised, even though those are some big numbers.
V-Bucks are going on over. I'm telling you that right now. He's got nothing to lose right now. He's already qualified, right? Like, they're just playing with so much momentum here. It's showing, and the strategy's different. He's uncontested. Like, we're just talking about a different game, you know?
Just kind of seeing the differences around the map. Jumping on board Moneymaker for Nyan. They catch Batman Booga, aka Higgs, out of position, get that elimination, and get all that loot. So they do have some extra time to figure out how they want to play this scenario. It is a 2-tick zone though, so they don't have all the time in the world before it moves into a 5-tick, but they definitely have some space to work with.
Yeah, the rotate's looking here. Ooh, nice little snipe up the sky there. Those are the points that you need to start making up for when you're this far behind after a bad game 1. Might even actually take down Barney there too. I'm looking off to the side though. Where is Batman Booga? Why is Curve by himself in a fight right now? Moneymaker for 9. I'm listening to all this go down, mind you, too.
Yeah, you see they had choices. They got that 1 elimination. Almost looked like they were going to try to follow that other solo player that kind of got left behind, but realized the zone is just right there. We don't necessarily have tunnel vision on any one of these scenarios. We're almost 1,000 damage above the threshold, and are quickly progressing up that leaderboard, even finding Curve out in open water. He can build, he can try to protect himself, but it's only going to last for so long before he gets cleaned up either way.
It's a crazy amount of eliminations Moneymaker just got in such a short period of time, mind you. They went from nothing to about 4 or 5 already just on that rotate alone. That's how you really play catch up. Meanwhile, Yuz and Sharkman staying slow, steady, and true to the course here. They're in the mid-2 of the next moving zone here. Airdrop happening behind them as well. Have first dibs on that if they want to take the risk for it. They definitely could. Like, this is a great spot to be in here.
I will say, though, you know, they started this game at 96 points, tied with King and Craze, but more importantly, 1 point away from that global championship bubble. With that elimination, combined with Slepsy and Wagers going down, they have moved inside 2nd place on the overall teams that need a global championship spot. And their team, I feel like, week in, week out, every time we see them, they're progressively getting better, and they're usually contending at the early starts of the tournament. They just need to close out strong.
Also, they have a lot of experience playing in finals lobbies. This is a grand finals caliber duo. Everyone has their day as well. If they just continue to lock like this, it's going to be interesting for sure. Looking at Cold and Ritual. Finally, the boys made it to the end game here. We'll see how they end up playing Disruptor. And that's something else to account for, right? All these other players, you guys have fun on high ground. No one's been looking. Well, you also haven't had people like Ritual and Cold in the first 2 games. Yeah, that's a big disruptor duo right there.
It's a tough team to have to go up against. HQ Encrypted, I think they know that in the back of their mind. Here's some noise in the back of that zone, just waiting for it to catch up. Not trying to make any big or drastic moves, and rightfully so. You see it kind of pulled over in their direction, but most of the lobby has that benefit of the doubt. Very few teams have a far way to go. There is one team at the vending machine towards Cluster Coast. That's the one that has the most worries for me, because everybody will then have a chance to look back, and it's Feno and Agers. Now I'm not worried anymore for some reason.
They're good. They'll be all right. Like I said, he's on a different wavelength. They're playing a different game. Nothing for them to be worried about. Meanwhile, Peter Boyo, though, getting active right now in the ultimate low ground. Just like that, finding a big refresher there. That's onto Gemini there. And it was an instant elimination, mind you. Now they're above the damage threshold as well. Just fighting their way back into the game and really taking control of this situation here. Meanwhile, Cold falls to the hands of Encrypted and HQ. That's a huge knock for them there. Great setup points. They're really starting to take off now. Again, do keep in mind, this is a team that is sitting comfortably right now in a qualified seat to the LAN event. So all of this momentum they're building means a lot. Meanwhile, saw Victor and Queasy kind of inching up towards the high ground. Might see a battle for that.
I think Moneymaker for Nyan kind of doing exactly what we've seen them do, just kind of lurk around. They started this game in 23rd place, so they're just trying to go ahead and not have to make heroic efforts in Game 6, so it's just about a slow progression up that leaderboard. Just Peterbot and Poyo find a huge angle on the Creon, getting him dropped down to about 50 HP, continuing to put pressure in that direction. But as the next zone reveals itself, they go right back to what they need to focus on, and that's how they're going to go from point A to point B here.
I'm still shocked teams like Peterbot and Boya are allowing threats just to have high ground for free. Once again, they're sitting so comfortably up top. No one has yet pointed their focus up top. Obviously, you have Queasy in the mid ground there. Saw Veno kind of lurking nearby too. Reet and Cooper are starting to get close, but this is the second game now. Second end game, by the way, Visual and Threats have made it to, both of which they've decided to confidently go for high ground.
They were able to win Game 1. Kind of fell early due to that max pull they had in Game 2, but now with the actual end zone at their POI, this is a must-win scenario, or get as high up top 2s, top 3s as possible. They're doing the standard strategy. Threat stays back, Visuals builds forward. They kind of protect themselves on both ends of that spectrum to make sure that nobody can contest them up on that high ground, and that includes Victor V and Queasy, who we haven't seen go for it once.
No, they haven't been comfortable enough to do it. And even here, this is not a great spot to be in. No elimination, so we're going to have to see them do something big here to really earn their stay. Make those points matter here. But an end game, nonetheless, is impressive. Moneymaker for 9. 5 eliminations now. Queasy falls as we highlight them, and then Victor comes right behind them as well. Unfortunate end for them there. No big placement points either. Meanwhile, you saw Veno super lit up there in the front side of zone. Encrypted and HQ just playing perfect Fortnite here. Going for the double heal strategy. I love this because what they want is consistency. 3 points, placement being earned here. This is how you play into the tournament format.
Yeah, they want to dodge all this mess that other teams are going through. Veno having to pause there, looking back. This is a big opportunity. He's going to go back and try to get some of those materials, but it's not necessarily a worry in his mind. Up until now, he's going to leave Agers to do just that while he takes a fight on the front side of his own. 18 builds and quickly running out now that he's gained the presence of that high ground team, forcing him lower and lower. But former teammates now turned enemies. Booga and Threats, Braids, Visuals, all battling out on the high ground here. But Visuals and Threats, they've seemed to hold their composure. They've denied Booga and Braids once, and even leads to a down thanks to Peterbot.
Something went wrong there. Braids wasn't there to back up Booga in time, and now the high ground plot was foiled. Meanwhile, Peterbot and Boyo just listening to the action go down, getting gifted several eliminations here as well. Not even concerned with going for the loot. Instead, positioning is what matters here. Off to the front side they go. 13 teams still remaining here. Agers is one of them. Finds a nice little elimination there onto Sphinx. Sphinx desperately needed to earn some more points there. That's going to be a major setback for them. Taking a look at what else is going on here. Visuals and Threats still have height.
While they do that, Encrypted HQ just kind of running around down below, no builds. They eventually get sent back to the lobby, but not before they can secure at least half of the placement points in this game so far. Into the top 6 we go. 3 players running around as solos, but for Josh Niamzo, they're not one of them.
Yeah, this is the game plan for them right now. Like you said, it's about disrupting those teams in their early game, kind of securing their land spot. And then everything else is extra. Play for the money, get the big points. They're pushing this very far now. Nice little exchange attacks there. It's Peterbot, Niamzo, Josh though with the backup there. Puts down Peterbot, gets the finish as well. Niamzo would have preferred, of course, the Siphon there, but it's all good.
And luckily, he's still alive. Sometimes you just got to take what you can get in these scenarios, just like a Minish here. 8 builds, at least a little bit to work with. Trying to get that little bit extra with the shockwave effect and just trying to stay behind closed doors for as long as possible. He knows he's one of 3 different solos in this game. Pollo again, back-to-back games left by himself. He clutches up a couple of extra points here, but you can see threats and visuals uncontested throughout this end game. We might have our team with at least 2 victory royales here if they can close it out against the Minish.
Incredible performance so far. And even with this is going to push them right back in as if they never lost the game, but they got to close it out. One more tag's going to do it. A Minish is fighting for his life here. Double shots coming in. They have the zone to back them up, and they will win the game now and put their way up to 158 points there, Jacob.
Yeah, they win game 1, they win game 3, proving that they might have the perfect recipe for success. And they're going underneath everybody's radar the way they're able to get the high ground almost uncontested in those 2 victory royales, Zeke.
Consistency. That's what we're aiming for, right? Consistency. We are aiming for one of 2 spots going to the Global Championship as the final opportunity. Visual and threats show up big time. And, you know, Kelly, in a lobby like this where there is so many big names and there's duos that already have their spots, they are still winning games. That's incredible.
It is absolutely incredible, and we can't claim now that no one was looking up, no one tried to steal height. It was none other than Bugha trying to stop them against height, but visuals and threats handled that height steal so well against them, and then being able to control that, and then having no one, like when I saw that happen, Vivid, I was like, oh, well, surely everyone's going to try and steal height now, but they just continued to control it so well, also just getting the free mats from Bugha and Braids, so they were able to not only like hold height, but also strengthen it because they were able to get a bunch of more materials. So once again, they may not have got a bunch of eliminations, but by controlling height and getting the win, they're definitely going to be solidifying their spot as a global qualified team.
I think visuals and threats have kind of picked up the winning formula here, right? They've kind of realized, hey, in game number 1, we went pretty uncontested. Game number 3, yeah, we had Bugha and Braids kind of try to send it a little bit on us, but that was easily thwarted. So I feel like visuals and threats, I'd be surprised if we don't see them in the next 3 games kind of continue to go for the high ground. As we do know, though, as competition goes later and later, some teams start to get a little bit more desperate, so maybe that's when more of these teams will start to go up for the high ground. But for now, visuals and threats, they've taken full advantage of how it's playing out right now. They've already won 2 out of the 3 games.
158 points. That is crazy. We knew going into this last game, HQ and Encrypted actually had 156. So I'm very curious to see how those standings look like in just a moment, because first, a quick break. When we return, we break down those standings, see how things are going, and try and hone in on who's in the top 2. We'll see you in just a moment.
I got healed. I'm popping a med bit. Wait, short. Got 6 builds? No, max up.
Wait, if
She on mid play. 100. 100. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Milk can help you grow. Milk can't prevent your ride from blasting into space.
What's up, Fortnite fam? Welcome back to GC Last Chance. I'm trying to be cool because I'm really nervous and scared and stressed out. Classic me. Huh? Anyway, welcome back. What an incredible game. We saw yet again. They won game one. They won game three. Visual and Threats off the high ground. Decide, you know what? We're trying to aim for consistency. There's 2 spots going to the Global Championship Z. I want a spot on that bus. And rightfully so. They're earning that spot. Let's take a look at our leaderboard. I got a little sneak peek of this ahead of time. And obviously, there's a little bit of an outlier here. Classic Peterbot and Boyo. 236 points. What the heck? So, Kelly, what I'd like to do here.
Oh.
Obviously, we know Peterbot and Boyo, they've already qualified. We know Agers and Veno have already qualified.
Oh, they have?
We know Visuals and Threats are looking to qualify, right? So, up those 5 placements, they're currently essentially in our top 2 right now.
I mean, yeah, currently, as far as teams looking to qualify, they are the first team to be able to make it into the global championships. And after that performance for game number 3, I would feel foolish to not feel confident that they are going to make their way in. However, it's the halfway point. If they're able to have this much success, then so is another team 3 games in as well. And there's definitely been some teams that we have to look to, like HCube has been performing really well. Another team that we just kind of seem to overlook for whatever reason, and Encrypted, a part of that duo there, and they just seem to be having a really good performance right now, Vivid.
Yep, without a doubt. So let's go ahead and see how comfortable Visuals and Threats are kind of looking on that leaderboard. Now, again, this is going to be a comparison of just exclusively non-qualified global championships teams. You can see Visuals and Threats up there with 158. Again, only 2 spots available with HQ Encrypted, 2 points behind them. Those 2 duos are currently fighting for that qualification spot. Take a look at this. I mean, Chris and Ellen not too far behind. So what have HQ and Encrypted been up to, right? How are they performing so well? I mean, 156 points. Kelly, it's just been all about consistently placing in the top 10. I mean, their match history goes 9th place, 5th place, and then another 9th place.
I'm interested to see how they're going to be able to hold this up, because I actually noticed right there at Zone 8 that they were below Storm Surge, and obviously it's such a big question mark on once these moving zones start. Are you going to be able to beat Storm Surge? Are you going to be able to forgo taking any damage while being able to actually take down some players? So that is definitely a big question mark. But another big question mark that I have right now is Yuz and Sharkman, currently in 4th place, just a few steps away from going into the global championships. And although they didn't have as good of a game that we saw in games number 2 and 1, I definitely think they're still well within contention and haven't lost that momentum yet.
What worries me about a duo like Yuz and Sharkman, though, when I was taking a look at how well they did in game number 2 when they got 3rd place, second eliminations, I was like, let me go back and take a look at how they did in Major 2 finals. And, you know, they ended at 28th place, so it wasn't incredibly anything to kind of note down about, but they were kind of contested. But the thing that scared me was that in those major 2 finals, they really only had one game where they broke outside or inside of the top 10. They got a second place with 5 eliminations, and them only being able to do that once, I was like, maybe they have already kind of expended that one good game that we kind of used to seeing out of Justin Sharkman already on the day. That third game, they got second or 22nd place right there, so they got to go ahead and pick it back up. But a team that did pick it up, Kelly, Javi and Aminish. Remember, we were kind of calling on these guys to potentially play for the high ground. We haven't seen that out of them so far, but in game number 3, a second place with 8 eliminations.
Definitely starting to pick things up right here. Being able to make it into the very end game as a solo is definitely a great way to start their climb up the leaderboard. But obviously, Javi and Aminish have not been able to really do their classic gameplay of stealing height because of how well Visuals and Threats have been holding it. And they saw what happened to Bugha and Braids when they tried to steal it. So I'm definitely not, it's not like I am accusing Javi and Aminish for being like afraid to go and steal height. I think they're playing it smart. I think they realize that they don't have what it takes to be able to take height away from Visuals and Threats. So maybe that's why we haven't necessarily seen them make that play yet. But Zeke, we got 3 more games to go. It's very possible that Javi is going to be pulling out something soon.
We got to, right? We're now at the halfway point of the competition. We need to start making some things happening. I'm even looking at, I guess, overall, like the overall leaderboard, 14th place, Moneymaker and F9, 84 points, right? We know all the way at the top, Visuals and Threats have 158. And then if we just keep going down, Chris and Aloe had 150, right? Like, there is still ground to make up. But this is a duo that I feel like can do that. We just need some really strong games in the latter half of this. Kelly, I gotta be real, when I look at the games they put up, a 23rd, a 12th, a 15th, I'm not gonna lie, I am a little bit worried.
I am worried, but also out of everyone that we're watching compete here today, Vivid, I am curious to who has a different strategy, a different plan in their back pocket. And I feel like if it's going to be any duo, it's going to be this duo right here.
I mean, listen, for Moneymaker 9 to be in 14th place with 82 points and still have yet to break into the top 10, they just got to figure out one little thing to actually make a big enough adjustment to have an impact, to kind of place them just a little bit better in some of these games. But only 3 left for them to do it. We'll have to see if they can figure it out.
Oh man, my stress levels are already rising. We are now at the halfway point of the competition. 3 games left. And again, I will continue to remind you, there is only 2 spots going to the Global Championship. There is duos in this lobby that have already earned themselves a spot for qualifying. They're looking to compete for prize money. Everyone else is looking and fighting for just one of 2 spots. Now or never, we need to pick up the pace. We need to shift and take fate into our very own hands. Because with 3 games left to go, we need to make something happen right here, right now. That being said, I'm getting word. Games are ready. Game 4 is prepared. Casters, over to you.
It is definitely looking to be a little nerve-wracking for the rest of the tournament. We're already at that halfway point, and typically in some tournaments, Monster, we look at who's brave enough to go after first place. And now I'm looking at any team that is not qualified for globals. Are you brave enough to take the challenge to the teams inside of the bubble?
Yeah, on top of that, you have 3 teams arguably neck and neck, tied up for the most part, 150 points, sitting up at the top with 2 prestigious positions available. Who's going to be able to do it here, Jacob? We're just going to have to find out.
Three games left, and you see I'm talking about, and I even said it today, time flies when you're having fun. But if you're any of the teams that have yet to qualify for the Global Championship, you got to imagine how slow everything is moving, how big mistakes feel, but even how big are those moments that you're able to clutch up actually feel as well.
Yeah, definitely. And now when the pressure starts to rise, who is going to be able to maintain themselves, stay composed, and continue to perform when it matters most? Again, some teams have never actually been in this position either. Do remember, there are so many different duos fighting for their first chance at LAN, but more importantly, probably their first time ever being in a leading position coming in about 3 games into a tournament, right? So there's so much other things at work here as well, mentally, that I think is going to make for a very interesting kind of midpoint of the tournament now.
Yeah, what can you do when things aren't necessarily going your way, or how can you hold on to it as Visuals and Threats do get contested this time around? They're able to at least take out one of those eliminations, and Threats actually not going to get both of them back to back. So Typically, we saw in game 1, I know game 2 for sure, they get the max pull, and it's kind of Storm Surge that's in the back of their mind. How are we going to get it? Now, with 200 damage off spawn, that's going to ease up the tension a little bit for visuals and threats.
I wonder if that's going to make them think twice now, too, moving forwards throughout the rest of the tournament. But at an 8-point swing, when you already have a small lead over everyone else, is definitely massive issue. Dozer, though, we talked about how they kind of had a chance to do something big, and they took the most out of it. They seem to have gotten the elimination this game around, which is going to be really unfortunate for, of course, Jace and Skittles here, who, by the way, were inside that conversation of teams that could qual. So now they're going to be set back big time here.
For Isha and Dozier, though, these are the moments you have to take and run with it. It's Cold and Ritual doing the same thing. For most of the days so far, we've seen kind of passive play from both of these guys, almost to the point where that third party starts to move in. But this second half here, Ritual and Cold, they probably realize, hey, if we want to win this entire thing, we probably need to get a little bit more aggressive. And it starts with winning our drop spot.
Yeah, it's only getting better for them right now. You get to see it, though, when Cold and Ritual fight on their terms. I mean, they wrap it up pretty quickly. Meanwhile, Cold just kind of walks these two down, gets the 8-point swing. Last game, they did make an end game. We saw how they at least got to actually earn some real significant points there. Look at this, Neo now kind of lurking nearby. End up catching a team. I am enough to be the first to ball here. There's a whole other duo. It's Diego plays sitting outside. Haven't really had the chance to earn anything yet here in the tournament.
It's a good eye from Ultra, though. See him and Diego are just kind of two different elevations. Diego just trying to take control of that mending machine. But Ultra actually spotted out Doxy, knowing, hey, there's a solo here that we have to watch out for. A duo as well. Neo and Sonetto, we kind of saw how that one played out. And the big question mark out of this entire scenario, does anybody know that Ultra and Diego are actually here? Because that could be a great chance for them to get a couple of eliminations, get some damage for Storm Surge.
Yeah, Doxy just looking out here, trying to be very cautious with his next big move. Diego, Ultra just holding on the fort here, trying to see if anyone's going to reveal themselves. So this is all but a standoff now, as everyone is very much aware that there are people lurking nearby.
And luckily this building's just basically all made of metal and brick. So they don't have to go far. Just continue to replenish as many materials. Not too much of a risk in that regard. Falling below the curve. Kind of seeing everybody else, Chris and Aloe, just outside of that bubble. 6 points or so. That's these two eliminations. They'll push themselves into that top 2 spot in terms of qualifying for the globals. So Barney and Vertify have to be very, very careful here. I think for most of this game, they've been uncontested, they've been unbothered, so this one is definitely going to be a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, what's surprising to me is how Chris and Aloe just snuck their way up into this qualification spot, right, of the tournament. We haven't really seen or highlighted their strategy too much, but whatever they're doing, these lurk plays like this is clearly working for them, and now they're earning the extra points to really start to separate themselves from the pack here.
154, I'm not sure they saw Vertify, but he's definitely going to give himself away by building. You can kind of see why he needs to replenish as much HP as possible, but 2v1, he's not going to get a lot of time to do just that. Shots going to continue to pour out, and he goes down. Not without a little bit of sacrifice, though. Chris did take some damage, but overall net positive in terms of Storm Surge.
Oh, most definitely, especially with that first quick elimination there. Now they get to sit on all this extra loot, too, to take with them. Jumping in with Shadow right now. Virgo already down, taken out here. Shadow and Virgo having a okay tournament. You know, we've seen them kind of pop up in the end game. Nothing too flashy just yet from them. But they're at 134, so overall, very much in the conversation. He's going to be forced to rotate in to go play for the pickup here.
Just gotta hope it remains uncontested. We did see some fights south of the actual POI. So it's just a matter if anybody tries to rotate to that mending machine, maybe even hear the noise for the reboot. But Shadow and Virgo, one of few teams in this lobby so far that can actually siphon points away from teams that actually do need it. And now that we know Virgo is going to get a second chance in this game, they're a team that you can almost never count out, because when you do, they usually strike back.
Yeah, definitely one of those strong duos here. And last couple weeks, you know, everyone's kind of had an eye on them. What's going on? Are they going to be able to kind of pull through and be dominant like we saw them in the early half of the year? Right now, they're keeping up with the pace. Ace Cube Encrypted, playing the best we've ever seen them, trying to qualify for their first LAN. Must feel like a lot of pressure sitting on their shoulders right now. Playing as good as they have so far, Jacob, right? 156 points. They're like in that top 3 here. And I would say that they gap everyone else by a pretty large margin, right? Like 50 points is a whole game buffer you basically have right now if you're up in the top 3.
And for them, that's got to feel good. Again, still, like you're talking about 3 games left. How do you hold on to it? How do you face the mental challenges a part of this game? And of course, the eventuality that may or may not happen of a team looking to hunt you down so that way they can secure their own spot. But for Peterbot and Pollo, that's not necessarily a worry. I think for this day, Peterbot and Pollo kind of playing a different game, because they may not always necessarily be able to take high ground. They may not always necessarily be above that damage threshold. And I think through Major 2, we kind of saw a couple of the weaknesses in their armor. And I think here is a great attempt for them to try to fix it. And then in the later portions of the game, as you see, Peterbot and Pollo both together and as individuals just getting explosive when it matters most.
This is quite the fight right here. Not one that you see Craze and King actually lose very often. An early game fight. Curve is going to find Craze there. And little do they know, Curve has been continuously earning his way in amongst the conversation of the best fighters here on the region. All in all, they have a huge advantage now, forcing back. Kingling here on the defensive foot, already having the tag lead.
Jargo Krillin being in the back isn't necessarily going to be a surprise for Higgs and Curve. They kind of know that team lurks around. They saw shots getting fired off in the direction. It's just about how long you want to stay and approach this situation, especially with King being a solo here by himself. And it does look like they're finally going to disengage. Enough wasting that time trying to hunt after King, return back towards Lifty Lodge where it's going, hit that launch pad, and then just play the rest of the game as normal.
Second time we've seen Higgs and Curve, by the way, do a very smart disengage, not stick around for an ego fight, not stick around and willing to throw a game for 4 points, right? I really do like this high-level play that we're watching from them at the moment. King is for sure lucky, though. They are going to ease up there. Diminish, Javi on the other side. Again, don't count them out. 108, yeah, sure, they're not in the top 3 at the moment. But this team can do what they need to do, and that's just remain consistent for the remaining lobby. The real question is, can those other teams up at the top stay the course as well? Because that's really all it's going to come down to.
Yeah, and almost making it sound a little bit easier than it actually is, because there's just a bunch of question marks all around the lobby. Peterbot and Pollo, one of the biggest ones, in first place. We know how explosive they can be. Agers and Veno, from big elimination games to lurking around. We know how detrimental they can be to anybody that they cross paths with, so still a lot left in today's game. But you talked about, I think it was about 40-50 point gap between, I think it was Chris and Aloe and then everybody else on that leaderboard. Yuz and Sharkman are that next best team. So even with 3 games left, they have to get inside of the top 10. They have to get some top 8 placings with some elimination so they can stay in contention.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're there. It's like so close yet so far now. Dropping a game really does start to kind of show its worth on the points. QK Mirops, here's a team that hasn't been very fortunate on the day so far. A bunch of lost fights, unfortunately. The first one happened into the hands of Bila. After that, they did find their footing, earned themselves a little bit of points, but right now it's Rapid who's kind of holding them back here.
QK Mirops not moving away from there. This is kind of where they've been dropping almost all season long, towards the coastline, just outside the cluster. They don't necessarily take too many big fights other than teams possibly jumping on them. So 175 above the damage threshold, pretty standard for their game plan here. Just with the zone pulling further and further away, they kind of have the same problem other players will do on this side of the map, is how do you maintain that Storm Surge threshold, because it is active as of now.
Jumping over Slepsy, Wagers. See now, even here, it's the first that we are catching them sort of on that threshold. That damage potentially looking to come for them here. They gotta be careful with the Storm Surge right now. Not many options to pick from as far as duos. It's about 3 in front of them, but a few of them do have really big high ground kind of positions. I mean, I guess they can also just sit on the mending machine too, right? They do have a couple plays they can make here. They don't have to force anything, but either way, keep an eye out for them. Meanwhile, here's threats. No visuals. Okay, so the first we're seeing of one of our consistent teams that are leading the pack here. You know, you would think after 3 games, after winning 2 of them, oh, it's a shoo-in. Oh, they made it. No, no, no. Still have 3 more games in front of them. Anything can happen, even now. The same way we saw them get taken out in game number 2. Look at this. They're way behind here.
Yeah, blessing that they do have going for them is the damage above the threshold. Kind of see how visuals have fallen just snug. Kind of what you were talking about in a different scenario where Slepsies and Wagers kind of just sitting on top of that mending machine. Visuals and threats trying to go for one themselves, and that's how they got caught off guard. Sometimes it's just hard to check every single cover, every single cone to make sure you're safe 100% of the time. But as you see in the minimap, zone continues to pull towards the north. So as Peterbot and Poyo themselves start to get engulfed by the zone itself, it's for a reason. They're just staggering themselves back so they can go ahead and get even more damage above that threshold.
Reds does get that reboot there. See the picture. Visual's gonna touch down. Meanwhile, Peterbot just being a menace right now to Icy and Decay here from the high ground. Had Jason's sight for a little bit there too.
Got the double bang shot there for a wow, 100 body shot. I think both time it perfectly. Double tag somebody, instant down. But you can see they're just preparing for the next rotation, going back to the double hills, the shockwave, and then the loadout with the AR and the shotgun. You can see a different approach versus some of the other teams that still will use that lance head pistol or the regular as well. They try to get 2 different ammos, which the small and the medium. Peterbot and Poyo are just going for straight surge throughout majority of this game, knowing they could probably pick one of those up later on.
Yeah, they've done a really good job, I would say, comparatively to the grand finals performance where we saw them, I don't know, doing different strategies, kind of pushing different teams, and it didn't work out exactly the same way, but this time, we've seen it just be in prime form. Threats, though, gets knocked to the storm here, and it is just chunking away right now. It's going to force Visuals into his last chug jug here right after getting picked up. Can they earn 80 points at this point? Is the real question here, but no, Visuals doesn't make it in time. He might have caught sickness or something.
Yep,
yeah.
that was the storm sickness, and I was thinking he's taking huge chunks. It's supposed to be a 5-tick. He was taking 10 per damage. That was active storm sickness, and you only actually take the active storm sickness for so long before you just kind of vanish like a magic act. You get taken down, sent back to the lobby. So for Visuals and threats, that has got to be a mental stopper there. Everything in their game here has come to a close, and they just got 2 games left to try to keep themselves within that bubble.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. Getting those 10 ticks of storm sickness, and you're out pretty much. Virgo on the other side, though, also another player that was rebooted, mind you. Take a look at this. Aloe and Chris, pressure's on. They deliver. This is why they're one of the most consistent teams here on the day right now, continuing to perform here when it matters. Virgo, though, you saw that Shadow went with the hero's effort to kind of bring him back into the game. He's 59 below. Can he clutch something out here? Tough duo to pick, to say the least. But they don't expect him below him. Oh, they see him. Virgo gets taken out. Close, but no cigar.
Hook, line, and sinker. Almost feel like they baited him out. I was kind of thinking just like you, that angle has definitely got to be hard to see him, but they spotted him out nonetheless. Getting almost 800 damage above the threshold. Surprisingly enough, their first elimination of the game, but it's kind of been how the day has been going so far. Slow and steady, and then they kind of explode here in some of these end games. Even kind of 13 eliminations, not winning the game, but still ending up in first place after game 1. And you're kind of seeing where everybody is forced to go over towards the north, just towards the west of the Battlewood.
Sharpman Yuz trying to play catch up here. That immediate competition, still earning points. We already know they have a chance to do something big here. 147 above, so not too desperate at the moment, but they'll probably need a little bit of tags. Zone's still quite the ways away. They still have a shockwave to work with. It's Ritual who's got positioning right now. Tyler and Chance end up picking up a few tags there. Slepsy, Wagers. After getting taken out nice and early, just the game before, they need to do something big here, but 2 below right now, Jacob. Pressure starting to mount up. Here comes the big rotate. He gets caught. This is what happens when you rotate too late. The lobby gets situated now. It's all up to Wagers here, but 303 below. 4 players have to fall here. This is really rough of a spot to be in.
Yeah, basically needs elimination and a half before Storm Surge even activates. It can only take 2 ticks, 14 seconds from when it turns on, and even less now that he goes towards the outside. He hits the bump on the shockwave below the damage threshold. Cannot even take too many more shots, and he gets blocked off, taken out, and sent back to the lobby. And for Yuz and Sharkman, this is a golden opportunity to try to close the gap, but they too are below the damage threshold. Sharkman taking a big shot. Active Surge as well. 7 HP is all he has left. I'm not sure he got the med kit off in time, but he does. He gets it off, and they're staying alive on a prayer.
This is crazy. He's deciding at this point, hey, it's over for me. Just take the chug. You might as well heal there, and Yuz is left to play this one out by himself. Just 2 players have to fall to give him a little bit of relief here. This is a really tough spot to be in, but hey, look, they're earning that little bit of placement points, so it's not for nothing just yet. Yuz has to just find one huge tag here to kind of put himself in the game, buy him a little bit more room. Players are everywhere, but no one's revealed himself, not for a free tag just yet.
Yeah, Reed's down, but finally gets cleaned up, or at least not just yet. Yuz is just hoping and praying, clean him up, get the elimination. I don't have enough HP, and he goes down. Reed falls literally a fraction of a second after. And while all the dust settles from what we just saw, Ritual and Cold, they're making it towards another one of these end games, and they're on high ground.
Yeah, I was looking at Reed's down body there, and I'm like, all he has to do is get finished. But it wasn't close enough. Meanwhile, Encrypted and HQ are taking advantage of the opportunity. They are going to start running away with one of the spots right now, solidifying their way up to the top, as are Aloe and Chris. Do not forget that this team is also one of the qualified seeded teams right now. Madden and Chance are under fire here. Chris and Aloe are popping off here. 3 elims on the move. Shockwave still in sight. Plenty of heals to work with. This is just such a good game for them right now.
Yeah, and even better with the competition above them on that leaderboard already down. Peterbot and Poyo take the challenge. We were saying, where are the fights on high ground throughout today's tournament? Peterbot and Poyo have finally set their eyes on the prize. They get the elimination for height. This is how it all broke down. Just one shockwave. Ritual didn't see it coming. The full box. Oh my.
Yep, just like that, you let your guard down. Peterbot and Poyo came to play. And they're in control of things here from here on out. Minish, Hobby on the other side, though. Look at this, 150 points now. Another big game for them, too, but Chris solo by himself on the left side. A Minish on the right here by himself as well. Chris finds a down body there, but he doesn't get the finish in time. Still, though, staying alive is all that matters. He's got 2 chug jugs to work with. A Minish falls there inside the top 10. Chris finds a little bit of material there. Can he buy a little bit more room?
This is perfect. Playing it perfectly. He was able to farm up, just like you said, getting him more than enough time to try to get healthy on the chug jug and returning to familiar territory. Now he's going to get healthy. 200 effective shield and HP, and inside of the top 10, so at least half of the placement points in the game so far, but they have to be careful. Peterbot and Poyo up above. Curly and Sphinx taking the front side of the zone, and Encrypted and HQ still hanging on.
Crazy that this is their immediate competition as well. Chris is just trying to stay alive. He actually finds Madden on the rotate there, so another elimination for him. Meanwhile, HQ Encrypted trying to possibly play for some more elimination points here, but they also only have one. You can really tell that the teams that need the qualification are desperately playing for placement points. Meanwhile, Dash and Oxy hoping to get a win here, go for high ground and push Pollo off. HQ still popping off though, finds Curve there, and Chris listening to the chaos go down. Even with the enemy above him, he stays in the storm a little too long and then gets finished up there finally by Peter Bot and Pollo.
Yeah, just great clutch effort, and honestly a blessing. He got taken down by a team who doesn't necessarily need the points for globals. Now they're going right back on up. They expended so much to take high early, and it's costed them everything. Peter Bot's gonna fall. Pollo left by himself, but for how long? And can he do another clutch game? Because right now he's already looking at height. Curly's down. Sphinx left alive. He's staggering to the backside of the zone. HQ encrypted. They're trying to get it, but they fall short. HQ's gonna go down. Now encrypted is down in a 1v2 situation.
Yeah, Pollo's got the high ground though. He's got a little bit to work with. Down he comes. He hits a shot in the follow-up as well. And Pollo will secure the win there. You would have expected it a little sooner, maybe a little bit cleaner there, Jacob, but they had to work for it in the end.
It's Peter Bot and Pollo's world. We're just living it. Second place, fourth place, and now a first place clutch from Pollo.
Oh, did something happen? Oh, sorry. I'm just so used to them winning games. It just like comes naturally. You know, I'm no longer surprised that they just constantly win games. And of course, Kelly, he comes on the back of Pollo again, solo clutching. Pollo, I don't know what it is. And I hope that the next time I see him, I can ask him. But he's really come into his own this year. He has gone from this player that people are like, oh, Pollo's like the best support in the world. And like when it was Peter Bot, they were like, Pollo doesn't do anything on the team. It's all coming up Pollo this year. And I love to see that for him.
100%. I'm going to be honest. I actually turned the volume down on my headset because I thought Zeke was going to scream. So good job, Zeke. I'm very impressed. Way to control yourself because that was absolutely incredible. Peterbot and Pollo have already been doing well, and they've been doing well in a very un-Peterbot and Pollo way, but still somehow they're in the top of the leaderboard. What a surprise. But this was finally a Peterbot and Pollo game. And I think it really started with the Peterbot and Pollo height steal. I will say, you know, speaking of Pollo and birds, it reminded me of a peregrine falcon, which is the fastest animal in the world. And they can go something like 200 miles an hour. And if you watch videos of them attacking prey, it literally just looks like their prey explodes in the air and you don't even see the falcon. And that is what we watch from Peterbot and Pollo. I'm imagining Ritual and Cole were feeling super confident up on high ground, and then they just exploded. They don't even know really what happened to them. It just happened so quickly. And I feel like we are watching a video of that we could see on a nature documentary of these animals just attacking. You know, that's the Peterbot and Pollo effect. Whatever they want, they just take for themselves.
Yeah, they're playing it super, super well today. Obviously, we knew going into game number 4, they had a very big lead up on the leaderboard, kind of just extending that here with this win. They didn't have to fight for this, like we mentioned. Typically, we were seeing the high ground go pretty easily so far. They had the steal, they had the fight for it, and then they actually lost it for a quick moment as well. But Pollo kind of returned to form, and it was just a 1v1. Remember, it's the second time today Pollo's been in a 1v1 for the win. So these guys are just playing super well right now. This time he clutches up, and on the back foot of that performance, 333 points. They went into that game with 236, so almost a 100-point game there for the duo.
It's just Peterbot and Pollo. They do what they do, right? There's actually a little, you know, it's interesting. They went up against a team looking to qualify. HQ been encrypted that game. They came in second place. I'm curious to see what that, how that impacts the leaderboard. We're gonna take a look after this break. I'm so sorry that I fooled you, but we gotta go to break. We'll come back. We'll take a look. Okay, stay tuned. We'll be right back. It's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
got heal. I'm popping a med bit. Wait, short. Got 6 builds. No, max up.
Wait, if you're mid, wait.
100. 100. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Milk can help you grow. Milk can't prevent your ride from blasting into space.
Woo! Peanut Butter Pollo won a game. Gotcha, Kelly. See, this is how I work, Fortnite fam. You see, she was last game. She thought I was gonna do that before break. This is how you subvert expectations, right? You keep them on their toes. But Peanut Butter Pollo did get a VR in game number 4. They are up to 333 points, going absolutely wild. Again, that's great. They're playing for prize money, but we're looking for one of 2 spots, one of the global championship. Okay. Let's bring up our leaderboard. We gotta look at a couple things. We did say, oh, I'm sorry. Actually, Zeke, what are you doing? Don't get ahead of yourself. Sorry about that, Zeke. Sorry about that. Sorry, I had to check Zeke over there. We want to first look at the players in focus, powered by Milk. Very quickly, wanted to look at some stats here because, you know, Peter Butter Pollo, they're at 333 points. Kelly, when you look at the stats, it makes sense.
I mean, listen, for this whole competition, I thought they were just going to be skimming on by, but this has really been a low-fat performance for them. So right now, they're really starting to give us the nice, gosh, I ran out of puns. But anyway, Pollo and Peter Bot doing really well right now on our players in focus. But Curve doing a pretty good job as well. Vivid, how's it going? They're looking good.
We're both losing our minds.
I mean, listen, Kelly, you really got me right there. It took me a second, but I picked up what you were putting in. All right, so we talked about it, right? Peter Butt and Pollo, they did such a great job there in game number 4. They got almost a 100-point game. So how far ahead of the competition does that actually put them? Let's go ahead and take a look at the leaderboard here. And yeah, I mean, the lead is 105 points right now. I mean, Peter Butt and Pollo are playing so much better than everybody else. I mean, just take a look at the elimination category, which, by the way, is a quick note. Pollo himself has 20 of those 33 eliminations. As you can see, Aegis the Venom up 23. So Pollo himself almost has more eliminations as an individual than every other duo in the lobby. I mean, the guy's just playing so good.
It's just the Peter Butter Pollo effect, right? Like, honestly, props to them for treating this like it is globals, right? Getting that practice and making sure they're showing everyone when the time comes, when we show up on LAN and we pick a spot, don't do it. Stay away or we will hunt you down. Now, obviously, again, in case you missed it earlier, getting crazy now. In case you missed it earlier, we have a leaderboard lineup that actually shows us which players are looking to qualify in one of those 2 spots. We've removed players like Peter Butter Pollo. They're already through. So when we look at this, remember, we're looking at 1 for 1st and 2nd place. Right now, H-Cube and Encrypted. Remember, we saw them in that last game. They won. They had that 1v1 against Pollo and showed up 2nd place with 4 eliminations. Kelly, obviously, eliminations maybe a little bit low, but a 2nd place is so good for those placement points.
I mean, it's not just the second place, though. It's the fact that they have been top 9 every single game. And with this obviously being the best performance that we've seen so far, that makes me feel like they've either figured something out that just allows them to get that much more, make it to the very end. And we could even possibly see a win come out of this duo. They are definitely the team to beat if these other teams that are somewhat within contention want to break into that top 2 spot.
Pretty cool storyline for HQ and Encrypted as well, as they did play together in major number. No, they didn't play together. So, no, they did play together. Major number 1, they got 22nd together in those finals. They split up for major number 2. They didn't play those finals together. And then they're back together for this last chance now. And it is working out super, super well. Obviously, another duo that is kind of playing super, super well up there in that qualification spot right now. Chris and Aloe. I feel like this is one that is surprising quite a few people probably at home right now. Probably like, wait a minute, Chris and Aloe, like these guys are about to qualify to global championships. I'm not really used to seeing their names. And yeah, you'd be 100% right in saying that, because each one of these guys have only ever made it to a single FNCS final each. So not actually used to these types of lobbies. But that being said, when the pressure has been on here today, they've been performing.
And definitely a duo that's also going for placements. They've gone 6th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. And only at the most, they've gone 4 eliminations. But once again, who needs to get eliminations when this is obviously working for you? A strategy that might need some changes is, however, Javi and Diminished. We saw how good they were in game number 2, or I'm sorry, game number 3, I should say, where they did get a 2nd place with 8 eliminations. A team that we know to take high ground, but there just seems to be so many other teams that are controlling high ground so well that they haven't really been able to fit into that game plan that we know they love to use. So again, you know, they're getting these 29s, these 20ths, and that's the reason why they are 70 points away from second place for HQ. You know, there's 2 games left, though. There still can be some chances for them.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you got to take full advantage of those chances. You got to have one of those Peter Bot play type games, right? 100 around points to kind of catch up, because the gap is increasing every single game.
And guys, really quickly before we go, the fact that Visual and Threats in the last game fell 38th place with just 2 eliminations, right? That small mistake was enough to have everyone else claw their way up that leaderboard. Anything can and will happen. We're getting ready, though. Game number 5 is ready with 2 games left to go. How does this wrap up? I don't know. Casters, take it away.
Either way at this point, Jacob, but one thing's for certain, if you're in that 200-point range at the moment, you're feeling really good here, and all you have to do is stay consistent.
Yeah, and honestly, if you don't feel like you can handle it in Game 5, Game 6 going to come around. Sometimes you have to take matters into your own hands. But HQ and Encrypted, I think it's around a 62-point lead over the 3rd place team. Remember, top 2 go to the Global Championship in terms of non-qualified teams, and they're building themselves a huge cushion for the last 2 games of the day.
Definitely, and again, Visuals and Threats was so close, but one game set them back. Well, let's watch it here for game number 5.
2 chances left to try to claim those spots for the Global Championship. We talk about HQ, Encrypted, Chris and Aldo inside of that bubble. You have Visuals and Threats, Javi and Aminish. You have Sphinx and Pearly, and they're all kind of within contention. They just need 2 big games to close it out.
Kind of wild to think like Visuals and Threats has to win another game if they want to like rocket their way back up and really fight for it in game 6. Because when you look at their placement, it's first, 38th, first, 38th. Like, so rough to fall short of the placement points there. Well, either way, game 5, these are the last 2 games in front of us. Who wants it more? Who wants it bad? We'll have to find out. You know, we're making the joke like, dude, if you're an unqualified team at this point, I mean, you kind of literally want to go call on HQ or Encrypted or get in front of Chris and Aloe and try to deter their strategy, right?
Yep, I gotta agree with that 100%. We've seen it so many times in the hunt for first. Got to imagine something similar here. And if you're not going to contest them right out of the gates, got to hope to take them down as the game progresses. But Visuals, Threats, uncontested here in Game 5. Ooh, and not too far away is this. Oh, not just this right here, exactly what you said. Chris is down, Skittles down for Dozier. A bunch of action kind of shaken out early on that has a few implications on the leaderboard.
Yeah, that's going to be super rough. See where this fight ends up going. Jumping on over to Aloe's POV, though. This is a much more important fight. Chris is down. He's got 30 builds. The team above him is weak, but he's got no shotgun. I'm not sure how I feel about him lurking around too much longer here. His team above him definitely has the advantage right now. And the more time that they get to loot, the worse it's going to be looking for him. And oh no, Vertify catches a little angle there. Alo's starting to run out of options here.
Yeah, perfect pixel peek to land those shots. Spot him out as well, because for a moment you almost even question, do they even know where he's at?
Jacob.
So this is gonna be
Jacob.
What's that?
In defeat, Azers took down Pollo. So we're going to be catching up to that as well in a second. But right now, Alo's tournament life is on the line here. He's down to no health, and down he goes. This is devastating for Chris and Alo now. 206 opens up the runway here for everyone else. Hobby, Aminish, Visuals, Threats, Sphinx, Curly. They can now jump up and snatch that spot. Encrypted and HQ have a chance to solidify such a strong lead that they will virtually be qualified here after this game, though.
Yeah, inadvertently kind of helping HQ and Encrypted as well. Because that was the next best team that was kind of catching up, 22 points away, so that top 2 spots weren't too far spread apart. And now I just almost have that feeling. HQ Encrypted, if they have any game like they've had so far today, 9th place being the worst one, we could potentially see them all but qualify here in Game 5, barring any miracles for the last one of the day as we tune into Veno and Agers. 2 eliminations, Monster. I know you called out the one on Poya. Gotta imagine maybe Peterbot as well as they get their 3rd elimination here. Agers kind of headhunting them all.
All I know is that Veno is looking to play for a win. Even if there's no championship axe attached to this one, doesn't matter. That paycheck is looking to be coming his way here shortly. If, of course, they can close out strong. 2 elims, make it a 3rd and 4th now. The points are surely racking up here.
It's a $10,000 difference between 1st and 2nd place. And with those eliminations, Agers and Veno move up into 2nd place with the potential Peterbot and Poyo both going down here. It's going to take 100+ points, Monster. But if Veno and Agers find themselves 10 eliminations, victory royale, we could have a new 1st place team.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. You know what I have open on my side monitor. Some streamers to watch the reaction as the catch-up happens. I gotta know. But either way, nice little skirmish here for Ritual Cold up against Queasy and Victor V. Tough day for the boys there. Tough tournament so far, too, for Curly and Sphinx. 138 is not exactly the spot you want to be in, but a veteran team like this surely knows they have a chance, especially now that that 2nd place team is down and out.
Only down 68 points, you know, and as you mentioned, team's already down and out, so you don't necessarily need to hit the home run here in this game. Maybe just take the first step, get on base, kind of work your way forward up that leaderboard. See Ritual and Cold from Latte landing, kind of moving on over in the direction of Queasy and Victor V. Neither one of these teams honestly having the day that we would thought either one of these guys would have, but it just continues to get worse because now they're both clashing here in Game 5.
Yeah, tough fight for them right here. 42 points. Is it realistically possible for anyone this far down to jump up? You need, yeah, I don't know, 2 wins, an exceptional amount of elim. So, I mean, at this point, you got to play for it if you want it. There's no other way around it.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh, production on the same wavelength here. Encrypted down. King and Craze are going to be the benefactors of that. With HQ now stuck by himself. It was, I think, a 62 or so point lead that they had over the next best team, and King and Craze are going to make sure us at home have a very entertaining Game 6.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, there's really nothing in it for King and Craze right now. This is just for the love of the game at this point. In HQ, if you want it, they're saying basically you're gonna have to really deserve it at this point. They're keying all the way through. Nice job for HQ. Going to get inside that rip. King, known for his exceptional aim, but doesn't quite find the tags, at least from what we can see from Crazy's POV. He's still up and going there. My gosh, talk about surprises, right? I'm over here talking about, you know, the prize might be in the bag. It's over. Oh, but no.
We both saw it. We both, and I was thinking in my head, like, okay, you survived the rift play from King and Craze, but you're in the sky, you're rifting around. It's not going to be safe from anybody else. And Booba actually found out H-Cube. So H-Cube encrypted. Chris and Aulo, our top 2 teams for globals, are out of this game.
Okay, now this is really wild now. Now we have a tournament on our hands as far as, is it going to be a race to the finish line? Who's going to have the stamina in game number 6? Well, at this point, your guess is as good as mine. And even, I mean, yeah, anyone can really do it at this point now.
Every time I find myself, just, you know, make the last game of the day matter. Give us some entertainment. I've kind of made the comment about Major 2 being a movie. I'm ready for the sequel. Well, we're being gifted the sequel here. You even have Yuz and Sharkman that are also in the race. A little bit further down the leaderboard, you can see 128 points, but they've just been gifted the golden opportunity with the top 2 teams in terms of global qualification down. They have to. Everybody else has to be aiming for at least the top 5 in this game.
Hate or love it, NA remains undoubtedly, undisputed, the most entertaining region on the planet. You know, I was counting this tournament off. I'm like, all right, yeah, it's done. Chris got it. You know, these guys are chilling. They're so far ahead. And then the worst case scenario, everything turns around. Any team now, any team with more than 100 points here, if they win and or finish towards the top 5, are most definitely in the race towards the end. This is going to get really interesting. Then you have Agers and Benno playing for like the win of the tournament, because why not? This is fun.
Yeah, taking down Peterbot and Poyos, as you saw. Out of our top 5 here, all teams included, 3 of them are already down. So Benno and Agers got a chance to try to take first. Visuals and Threats have a chance to move into that bubble, just like Madden. And coincidentally enough, as Duo Chance have that same opportunity here. They have a good position on top of the mountain. They just need to kind of accumulate that Storm Surge, just like Visuals and Threats. It's like a currency. It allows you to easily fluctuate in and out of the zone, around the lobby, and it kind of gives you a little bit more control over your game, because when you're below that damage threshold, it almost forces your hand.
Yeah, definitely. As you say that, too, I'm just looking at the player count. Talk about a lobby that is thinning out at the moment, as everyone, again, you start to find that desperation setting in for people that are too far behind, that they need to go fight. And it's really starting to show in the numbers. Effective Visuals, they have the outskirts, they're chilling. They have the opportunity of a lifetime here. Craze and King, hey, they're just deciding at this point, you want to qualify, you got to fight through us first. Dash and Noxy get destroyed here at the Canyon. I don't know why Kingling and Craze want to take this fight, but I guess it's over the Mending Machine. Noxy should not have been here because they're on a warpath that just cannot be stopped at this point.
Yeah, it's a team I don't want to run into. And so for Dash and Noxy, they started this game in 15th place, around 116 points. And so even though we're going to have one of those games where the top end isn't necessarily gaining as much, it almost puts your back up against the wall, where you need a victory royale and a certain number of eliminations, all while your competition going down. But at least it's not impossible. They still have some sort of a chance here that they're creating for themselves, like Benno and Agers creating an opportunity for that first place spot. It's Slepsy and Wagers, another team that's on the hunt.
See how it's going to end up playing out here. Benno, Agers still have a bit of the lead here. They're in control. Agers got the other side. These are great little side angles, and also that mythic AR down too. So much power in the hands of Benno here. 5 elims. Do keep in mind, they get like 10 plus a big end game. They'll for sure jump up, close the gap, catch up to Peterbot and Poyo, and then who knows how they're going to want to play out the last game, but we'll end up seeing it out. They'll probably end up challenging them again, to be honest.
I'd be down for it. the Veno, Ager's revenge. We kind of know the story leading up to Major 2, how it was shaking out. They're going to contest Peterbot and Poyo, and it actually, in scrims practice, everything leading up to it, it did not go their way, almost not even a single inch. They changed drop spots. They end up triple contested. They qualify and almost win the Major 2 finals. Veno putting up some of the most eliminations again, and now they're in a situation to where they're putting the target on their own back, not just from Pete and Poyo, but any other team that looks to win this entire thing.
Is there a world where Booga and Braids win Game 5, their opposition's already been taken out by Kingling and Craze, and then all of a sudden Game 6, it's a Booga race to land? You know, the writing's on the wall here. It's a little blurry. We'll see if it ends up coming together. Either way, again, anyone over 100 points right now realistically has a chance if you win this game.
Just keeping our eyes on every single one of those bubble teams, both in and outside of that bubble. Curly and Sphinx being one of them, 138 points. You see the zone kind of pulling everybody towards the south yet again. It's not like Curly and Sphinx. They're being very, very quick and on the button to try to rotate before everybody else. That'll give them a chance to kind of look back, increase their surge, and kind of play for even focusing somebody out. But you see where the zone's going. I almost look at visuals and threats to have one of the better positions right now.
Yeah, this is a crazy zone. We haven't seen a southern pool like this weekend or during the Major 2, I feel like. This is pretty far of a draw at the moment. That Booga and Curve couldn't have asked for a further zone to really rotate to be honest. They're in between Kingling and Craze here to the left. Either way, they end up making it through. Got Javi and a Minish in front of them as well. Okay, so this is really rough now for several of these teams here.
It's becoming a little bit more of a chore just to get to the edge of the zone. Not to mention trying to get yourself a spot deep in towards the center. Trying to give yourself a relatively easy chance no matter where the next zone does pull towards the half and half. One shockwave can kind of cover the distance. But not everybody has that luxury. You're seeing Higgs, Curve, just kind of position where they can, and it's Veno and Agers that are sneaking up onto him. Lands a good shot onto Higgs, backing him up just a little bit, but they're weak themselves. Veno does have a little bit of damage himself, so they're both going to take some time to heal up.
Yeah, Curve and Batman Booga have obviously shown they have a ton of patience inside of them. They've really just been playing every single game, every fight like it matters, as if this is a finals. You know, some teams, they kind of get into these lobbies and they're already qualled and kind of ease up, but not today, not on NA. Everyone's really playing their best. Minish and Hobby, these are really big moments here for them now. This is going to be a defining opportunity for them. If they can get a refresh here, it will be massive. Not that they exactly need it, but it's the points, it's the ability to go for high ground. They can do so much with that. They're the next team up for a qualification spot.
I'm about to say right next to them. It almost looks like Moneymaker and Fernayan found themselves in elimination. A lot of teams here in this lobby in very, very similar situations. So you can kind of see the risk-reward scenario for some, just not necessarily going their way, but as we tune into threats and visuals, not only is threats 7 below the damage threshold, visuals has just been sent back to the lobby.
See there, Threats is trying to make his return to land. He didn't get any spots in the 2025, early 26. But again, no stranger to, of course, playing in person. This is a OG by all means. Great job, by the way. Being below the surge, remaining composed, finding tags through the cracks here, and now he's got a little bit of time to work with. 6 shockwaves too, mind you. So surely, even as a solo, he can make this go the distance here, play for big placement points. He's going to need about a 30-point clutch up, 40 points to go ahead and close that gap between him. And, of course, the second place team that fell a little bit earlier, Chris and Aloe.
Literally kind of thinking the same thing. You don't necessarily, for some of the teams, need an actual victory royale just to close the gap. Chris Aloe going down around 206 points. H-Cube encrypted around 228 points. So you don't need to surpass that just yet, but give yourself a fighting chance for the last game of the day. We'll continue to watch Benno and Agers. You can see 5 eliminations so far, but without all the fighting they've had so far in this game, you can see what it's doing to their material count. They have less than 600 overall, but Threats, he's going to get taken down by Evan and Zonda, and that was the next team up.
So tough to fall right there. Again, and then he had so much to work with as well. You have the perfect loadout to clutch up. But these things do happen. Sharkman Yuz have been granted an opportunity now. Top 25. They have all the damage they need. They've got a lot to work with here. Can they pull a top 5 and get back in the race here and now? That remains to be seen. Virgo's still alive there in the distance.
Yeah, now that we have placement points setting in, like you said, top 25, 2 points per placement, all the way into the top 6. Top 10 is where you get half of them. So currently Sphinx, even though they're below the damage threshold, they just need to hang on just a little bit. 4, it's not much to worry about. You have to make sure to keep yourself steady. Benno Agers, again, fight after fight. You can see what it's doing to them. 1 build, empty item slots, using the rest of their Chug Jug. So they've done a good job of closing the gap. But if they go down here, they leave a lot of points left on the board.
Well, they're doing what they need to do right now. A Minish great heal up here is going to get right back in, but almost lets his guard down. The team looks to roll through, but they defend just well enough. Meanwhile, Curly and Sphinx have to give up that little bit of high ground positioning as they have to rotate to the new zone. No one has claimed the high ground, mind you. Everyone cautiously optimistic at this point, right? No one really wants to go for it. Be the one to get contested up top. Benno and Agers fighting for a refresh here. They get exactly what they're looking for. A little bit of loot to work with here. Still a long ways to go, though, before they're safe.
A singular elimination and loot that they have to split between the two. You can see Curly and Sphinx getting a couple eliminations from the backside of the zone, but they're the main focus. Teams don't want to let them in. So even though they just got a refresh, good materials, they are immediately getting burned through by Reek and Cooper, and that's why they immediately try to jump on top, reposition themselves to a much safer spot. But you mentioned nobody taking high ground, left an open opportunity for Zonda and his duo.
Yeah, finally someone's up top, and they've gotten real comfortable there. Meanwhile, Minish Hobby also debating what the next big move is here. They're kind of working their way through the make round. Sphinx tries to clutch up a little bit more. He gets to 160 points. Not bad at all. Evan and Zonda here at 4 elims, possibly looking to win the game at this point in time. Plenty of competition left in the game, though. Have Cooper and Reed now playing up this next high ground positioning here. Benno and Agers still somehow are going all the way. Again, they're still fighting first in the feed, though. Booga gets knocked there. Benno gets knocked by Cold.
Oh my. I can't believe he made it in, which is 10 HP, barely hitting the corner. Zone is closing in. Hobby, I wish you the best of luck, but it all runs out. He gets taken down, and that was another team monster that's in the hunt that failed to eclipse 200 points. And so for Madden and Chance, they're another one with the opportunity here. Top 13, so there's still over 36 placement points left on the board.
But one thing's for certain, everyone's getting closer and closer now to have a viable chance at the qualification spot. Who is going to land is going to be the question that remains. Yuz has lost Shark Fin, but he's still alive, earning placement points to top 10 now as he's at 166 here. You'd love to see it. All he goes. He's got a lot of mats to work with as well. Look at all the shots going on here. Chance is just breaking his way through everything. He's got Madden alongside him as well. Still looking for the elim here. High ground team seems to have come down possibly a little bit. Probably looking to have already ran out of materials. Madden's about to be in the same situation. G-Monster and Void from nowhere. 8 elims, 10 elims total. This is crazy. Madden's still popping off here too. He's at 2 elims now.
This is just chaos at its finest. Another one's gonna fall. 6 teams remain, 2 of them running around as solos here in this game. Madden and Chance, shots coming from all directions. They're just trying to stay composed. Yuz as well. The pressure of everything is on his shoulders to give himself a chance in game 6 with only 2 builds. He has a full Chug Jug. It's just about when and where he starts to play this heals off.
This is so good right now. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, Yuz is literally clutching up right now and giving his duo a fighting chance here to go to the LAN event. Love the heal off play here, but he's got to be careful. Tries to get the Siphon shot there. He finds Madden, but he can't get the points or secure the Siphon in the end there. He's going to fall, and all of these points have now risen. The bottom threshold is going up, Evan Zonda come down there. Bushy out of mats. Ziamzo, it's Josh. He gets the 2. They get the mats. Where's the last player? It's Creon from the Storm, and it's over. 12 eliminations, 143 points now for them. Respectable performance there, Jacob, in the end.
Yeah, we've saw in terms of non-qualified players first on that leaderboard go down, second place, third place. Throughout the course of the game, it was the golden opportunity for Evan and Zonda. They got the victory royale, but they have to do it again, Zeke.
They're going to have to, Jacob. They're going to have to. But honestly, a win is still a win, right? Getting this opportunity in Game 5, that means going into Game 6, they have a chance. There is still that chance, Kelly. It's going to be quite a mountain to climb, but there's a chance.
There is a chance. I mean, we've seen how many points teams are able to garner in just one game, and that is still possible with one game left to go, Vivid. And just looking, I mean, we can't look at the leaderboard right now. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but just looking at the teams that we have within contention, this is still anyone's game. We're looking at the top 2 outside of the already qualified teams. It is still possible. We cannot just confidently say who is going to make it in yet.
Yeah, going into game number 5, this is exactly what we kind of called for. You gotta have a Pete and Pollo-esque game to kind of give yourself an opportunity to actually clutch up here. And what better describes a Peterbot and Pollo game than a 12 elimination win there to kind of clutch it up? Now, I did see that their points were around that 150 mark. So like Jacob kind of called out, they're gonna have to do it again. But this is a great start from Xanda and Evan.
Oh man, 143 points, guys. I can't lie, it's a very tall ask for sure, but I do love seeing this out of them, right? Going ahead and finding that moment. It's so cool to see, like, again, especially in the kind of context of this, right, Kelly? There's so many high-profile duels running around on different layers, all fighting each other, people getting landed on, and you can still find a 12 elimination victory royale in Game 5. Like, that's still something to celebrate.
I mean, with 4 points per elimination, and then of course those 60-some points for a victory royale, that got them over 100 points. And if they do that again, and if a lot of our top teams go down again like they did in that game, it is a tall order, but it's definitely an order that can be made. However, they're going to have to go up against some big teams. But of course, again, getting ahead of myself.
I know, Kelly, I know. They're telling me we have to go to a break. They won't leave me alone, so we have to go to this break. But we have one game left to go. One final game to settle this all, and our top teams fell early in that game. How does this impact the leaderboard? We'll find out after this short break.
I got here. I'm popping in that bit. Wait, short. Got 6 builds. No, max up. Wait, if you're mid, wait. 100. 100. Oh my god! Look! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Milk can help you grow. Milk can't prevent your ride from blasting into space.
just one game left, and then GC last chance is over. It's crazy. I feel like we just started the day and we're zooming. Okay, we're already on game number 6. We've only got 2 spots going to the global championship up for grabs. Duos in here who already have spots are fighting for prize money. Other duos are fighting for those 2 spots. Evan and Xana get a 12 victory game 12 elimination. There it is. Good job there. Victory Royale in game number 5 at 143 points. Is that enough to compete with one of those top 2 spots? We'll take a look in a moment. First, we got to bring up the overall leaderboard. We'll take a look at the specific one for qualification in just a second. We just want to kind of set the stage for everything else that we're seeing. Peterbot Poyo still in the number 1 spot as Agers and Venno are slowly creeping up, trying to fight them. It's really interesting, guys. Venno and Agers actually landed on Peterbot in that last game and decided we're going to go ahead and eliminate y'all pretty much off spawn. They fell 46th place with nothing. I can't lie, guys. This is a storyline that kind of like is super hype. Peterbot Poyo versus Agers and Venno. I'm kind of into it.
I mean, it's also, I went back and watched that fight happen, and it wasn't necessarily that they eliminated Peterbot and Poyo. It was that after Venno and AJ did it, they did it like really nonchalantly. They weren't super hype about it at all. And then one of them said, all right, now we got to go win. Like they did it again, just lackadaisically. And I was very shocked by it, and it definitely had what the kids say aura. So for me, that was even more impressive than eliminating Peterbot and Poyo, was to do it just so nonchalantly. So yeah, the storylines are definitely building up, and we can expect, Vivid, maybe some repercussions for the actions that were taken in that game.
I mean, yeah, it was pretty crazy. Obviously, there's stuff going on among some of our qualified teams, but our non-qualified teams, also some crazy happenings going down in the early game as well. And we're going to see the impact of that on the standings. Remember, this is a leaderboard with a non-qualified team. So we saw HCube and Encrypted go down early, as did Chris and Aloe, and kind of went ahead and opened up the opportunity for teams like Javi and Aminish to kind of close that gap. You can see, we were kind of talking about how big of a lead that they have kind of established. Well, now it is down to just 22 points. And Javi and Aminish, they took full advantage of that. They didn't have the best game ever, but they got enough points to kind of get themselves closer. This was a 15th place with a single elimination. So Javi and Aminish, you know, listen, the cards are on the table for you guys now. You can kind of go into game number 6 with a great opportunity to potentially qualify for global championship.
It also seems like a lot of our teams that have already qualified are starting to like climb up into the top 10. So that is also going to kind of shake up the leaderboard just a little bit. Obviously, these standings is just the non-qualified teams, so we don't really get that picture just yet. But I do think that this game is going to be completely unpredictable, just how close it is between from, you know, 3rd to kind of 7th place, even below then. If any of them have a really good game, that is really all they're going to need. One of those teams obviously being Yuz and Sharkman, and they had a pretty good game in that last game, going up 3 placement points. They got a 5th place with just 2 eliminations. It seems to be that they are playing it very safe. That was what we saw at the start of the game, or the start of the day. When they got their 3rd place, they only got 2 eliminations. In fact, the most eliminations that they've even got is just 2 eliminations. So they're going for the placements, they're going for the passive, and it seems to be working out for them if they were looking for a top 10. But Vivid, they're not looking for a top 10. They're looking for like a top 4, top 5 right now.
Yeah, they definitely need to start picking up some more eliminations, though. I mean, it's pretty much going to be the difference maker potentially when everything is all said and done. I mean, taking a look at this leaderboard as well, we see G-Monster and Void. I mean, they had an incredible game there. 10 plus eliminations for them kind of sends them up 12 spots as well. And Madden and Chance as well, up 5 placements now, 174. It doesn't really feel like anybody on this specific leaderboard is going to be close. I mean, obviously, HQ and McCrithed and Chris and Aloe sitting in those current qualification spots are going to be feeling comfortable. But with teams like Madden and Chance clutching up, with teams like G-Money and Void clutching up, really anything is possible.
Yeah, man, we've got 1 game left. And the nerves, I mean, I'm getting nervous already. But just think about the context of that last game, right? All of our top teams fall early. Kelly, Viv, we could have a situation, if that happens again, this is the last game. There will be no more opportunities. There won't be any 3rd chances or anything like that. If something goes wrong in this last game and those players fall early and they can't get points, that's it. They will not be qualifying, and then they have to watch everyone else behind them slowly climb up that leaderboard. And if they get more points, that's it. The run's done. They have a better chance to qualify than you do. Kelly, that's a crazy stressful situation to be in.
Listen, we've already experienced heartbreak earlier on in EU of just how close some of our bigger teams can come out of just missing qualification to the global championships. And we know that, you know, for every winner we're going to have a bunch of losers. So unfortunately, not everyone can make it to the global championships. So obviously there is going to be a bit of heartbreak right there. But right now, these teams need to focus. They need to just play Fortnite. They don't need to think about what that's going to mean for them. But obviously, a lot is on the line, Vivid.
Game number 6. NA, it always comes down to the last and final game. A bunch of teams very, very close for those global championship spots. And then we are fighting for $30,000 at the top of the leaderboard. Peterbot and Pollo versus Agers and Veto. What is going to be the approach here in game number 6 from those two teams? Can't wait to see.
Oh man, we got to see if Veto and Agers decide once again it's time to line up Peter Pollo or not. But this is it. One final game. Let the cards fall where they may. Players, it's time to take fate into your own hands. One last game. Only 2 spots are on the line. Here we go. Game 6 starts now.
This is it, the last game of the day, the last chance global qualifier. I couldn't have asked for a better kind of ending going into this final game with how close the leaderboard actually is.
Yeah, we have a lot to fight for now. A fight for first place in the cash, and then of course your qualification spot, which somehow has gotten surprisingly close coming into this final game here, Jacob.
Yeah, and so far throughout the day, you know, the first early games, it was kind of slow. Not a lot of aggressive action going down, but that last game showed us everything. Nobody is safe. If your globals qualified, you're still fighting for that first place spot, or if you want to keep your year alive. It starts, it ends here, because game 6 is ready, so let's get into it.
Last chance finals. Game number 6 is here, and of course we have our eyes on the Sinister drop. We want to know if Venom and Agers are gonna go for it, and it looks like they want to, Jacob.
This is something we've been leading up to Major 2. We didn't get to see it, but now we have been gifted the chance. Pollo, probably known as one of the best off-spawn players in the game, and they get that first elimination on Veto. Essentially a battle for first place, and now Agers is stuck by himself until he eventually goes down. Peterbot and Pollo will reign supreme.
They do it again, and you know what? We knew that when Peterbot and Pollo were expecting to play, things would go a little bit differently. I mean, they are just that good. And now they will solidify themselves, undoubtedly, as the team to take the tournament away today with the most amount of points here.
I wouldn't call it too early, though. Still have hope the way some of these teams have been playing. HQ encrypted. Who knows? Peterbot and Pollo going down. That's the only points they get. We have a miracle run. They not only qualify for the global championship, but can possibly win the entire thing. But this drop here, called the 0-point split, just east of the actual 0-point rift. OSID and Vert looking like they have a little bit more control over this game. A full loadout. What they really lack here is the shields, but everybody here at this drop does.
Definitely is a really scrappy fight. Everyone involved here at the moment. Shot from Volts and Kaki right here to have the first elimination on a team, and then to try to get the finish up here. Just like that, they find themselves with 3 teams.
This is a team that we kind of saw to start the day. They were kind of close to that bubble, but being contested. We all kind of know how that song and dance goes. You almost have to be perfect when it's top 2 that does qualify. His threats and visuals seem to get a little bit more active here. Just outside of their POI towards the south, they see Rapid by himself. He's going to go down to Evan and Zonda. Last game's winner, but now all the aggression is coming out from visuals and threats. They need these elims. They need the points, and they're going to get that first down onto Zonda.
It's actually huge for them right here. Again, the comeback story now for threats and visuals here. A team that somehow has 2 victories on the evening and still is in a race to try to close the gap, close the distance between them and Chris and Aloe, now their next most immediate team holding the qualification spot at the moment. And it might not feel like much, but 30 points is a good lead to have coming into this last game here.
Yeah, outside of elimination, let's make it all the way to the top 10. She's shown today so far that it's never going to be that easy. But G-Money, Void, 170, giving themselves a fighting chance. 10th place on the overall leaderboard, actually tied with Reet and Cooper, but they win the tiebreaker due to average eliminations, going to show that they're well on track. They just need to push themselves a little bit further and can't run out of gas here in Game 6. As Khaki Volts continuing their aggression, they take down Pure, leaving Wheeze by himself, so another 2v1 winnable scenario.
It's kind of crazy. Khaki and Volts are literally finding their stride in the last game, unfortunately for them. But either way, this is going to be really good for the rest of the lobby, right? Like, this placement points and things are going to start thinning out. And if you're Chris and Aloe, etc., you're going to be happy that other teams are not exactly soaking up all these eliminations.
Now, finally, I was about to say, nobody's really here, but just on the outskirts. Kind of do see H-Cube and Encrypted early to kind of rotate towards this center, or at least from now, just outside Madden a chance there as well. And kind of seeing like a priority to rotate from some of the teams this game than what we've seen so far. Curly and Sphinx land just north, but they're getting pushed off further and further, which could be a blessing because you see they already have the Chug Jugs. The only thing they're really lacking now is just a little bit more materials.
Yeah, gonna need a little bit more to work this mid-game situations that are to come. Sphinx and Curly though, 160. Again, still not quite out of it. We're gonna need that Chris and Aloe update here soon because we have Craze and Kingling back on the hunt, going team to team, hitting these important draw spots, these named POIs. Once again, they're on a mission right now. They're at 3 elims, and we just started this game.
And luckily enough, though, you guys seeing they're pushing up towards the north, seeing how the fight started. Craze just almost little to no care in the world, just bulldozes into the box, gets both of those eliminations, and I would say HQ Encrypted we saw kind of make it a priority to rotate out earlier on. That's how they got caught out in that last game. So everybody learning from little mistakes here, learning from the aggression of the lobby to try to give themselves a good Game 6 to close out the day. Uh-oh.
Oh, no. Chris, though, finds Dash with the clutch elimination. And look at his inventory. He's got such a strong loadout to work with. Do you abandon the ship or stick around and fight? Noxie's also extremely healthy here, too. Much more on the line here for Chris. His teammate's still down. He's got to make the right move here. He's got to hit the right shots. Nice job boxing up Aloe there. While Noxie makes a big mistake here. Takes a little too much time to heal. That floor, though, is Noxie's. Nice little side angle here for Chris to go ahead and branch his way out. Don't want to be standing on your enemy. Floor is there.
Doing a good job of keeping Aloe alive,
no.
Not at all, but he gets coned off. 2 HP. Noxie has turned this one around. He has to be able, like you said, to go. You have to take advantage of the 2 HP, especially since Lepsy and Wagers, another team is lurking in.
I think he fell. Oh no, he didn't fall. Okay, the body fell. Aloe fell off. Okay, Noxie recognizes there might be some danger nearby. He ends up dipping out. You know what? Lepsy and Wagers, by the way, this is the right move for them to try to push Chris if they want to, of course, disrupt things. So they're lurking around. They know what's going on here. But it'd be hard to understand if there was a solo left, you know? With the limited information, seeing one player disengage, you might think this is the only guy surviving here.
Potential 4 more points. If they could just get this elimination or even knock onto Dash. So far, good amount of damage. Dash is going to land 2 feet down onto the ground, but Wagers, Slepsy are coming to interrupt this fight. They need a certain number of eliminations, Monster. They need a victory royale. For Slepsy and Wagers, it is literally the definition of all or nothing, because if they don't get that victory royale with elims, their FNCS ends here, but they're able to find the open opportunity, getting the knock onto Dash. Noxie's stuck by himself with no shield, and every second he stays in the zone, that is less HP he has to work with.
The real problem is they let Chris and Aloe basically escape at this point. So even if you're Noxie and Dash, even if you're Slepsy and Wagers, your competition got away. Slepsy, Wagers, Gotta speed this one up. Noxy just waiting this out. He really is desperate at this point. You know, he's just kind of sitting here, even with all these extra fields. I'm not sure how you feel too much about this. I mean, they know you're here.
Yeah, Slepsy's Wager's doing a good job, though, of being very, very calculated. Kind of not even necessarily breaking through all of the builds, just damaging them enough to see through. And with Noxy, though, 25 seconds. He is on a clock here to have to make a move. He has 20 left on the Chug Jug, but that's not a lot of time being granted. You almost need to disengage, get to that vending machine, or find a way to get the elimination for the Siphon.
He's gonna start healing here. Wagers and Slepsy. Patience grows thin. They back off a little bit. Another team is now looking down. And hey, you know what? I was wrong. Noxy makes the right move and just waiting it out, I guess, because now he's got a little bit of firepower potentially coming in from the distance. Meanwhile, Madden and Chance had an opportunity to clutch up. Madden takes down Peterbot to stay in the race for a qualification spot. It doesn't get any bigger or better than that for Madden and Chance there.
Yeah, just unfortunate. They get the knock. But I'm not sure what Pollo did to make sure he didn't get taken out. But Peterbot does stay alive. He crawls into the reboot van, and they do get the reboot back up. Nobody's pushing on over just yet to try to clean up this elimination. And honestly, when it's Peterbot and Pollo, I wouldn't necessarily push on over either.
Yeah, definitely the better play for Peterbot to pick himself up as opposed to expose himself elsewhere. But talk about an important fight for Chance and Madden. If that ends up being the deciding factor as to why they qual, I'll be pretty excited story for them. Aminish Javi on the other side. Slow and steady. Might just be able to win the race. 184, doing what they got to do these last couple games. Exactly the way they needed to. A little 3-2-1 in the bush there just to check what was going on.
Yeah, did a good job of focusing on the rotation in towards the zone. They're not necessarily elevated the highest, but they do have this mountain edge to kind of go and base up on. Not necessarily using a ton of materials, but I was thinking in my head, where is Chris at? We know he's a solo, hasn't gotten the reboot back on up just yet. And so Slepsy and Wagers, they're running away from this situation, but I'm not sure if they know how close they actually are to Chris. Uh-oh.
No way. Oh no, he almost got away with it. He was hidden so well. I wouldn't even thought they would have checked down there. That was such a good hiding spot. Yeah, there's nothing Chris could do here. This is such a tough spot to be in. No more shockwaves either. He's gonna have to fight this one out to the end. He's moving though, my gosh. 210 is where he gets frozen at. Wagers and Slepsy have a chance. It's crazy to even say that, because they have to win and continue to get elims, but technically they actually have a chance, but so does everyone else now. This is the opportunity for every other team that's looking to qual here.
Yep, as we see HQ Encrypted, I'm not sure if they're watching the feed or not, but with Chris and Aldo down, everybody below them on that leaderboard at least has something to aim for. Exactly. And the next best team, obviously, this is starting at the game. You see they're 228 points. The next highest team was Javi and Aminish at 184 points. So roughly a 44-point lead above the next best team that can push them out of the global championship qualification spot. So they just need to have just one of the casual performances they've had on the day so far, and they're good.
Yep, now you have all these teams who, I mean, quite literally, I think it's going to come down to which one of these teams effectively win the game. Void G Monster, if they do it, it's going to push them over the edge. It's going to give them so many points. They're going to need those extra points to really separate themselves because of how close it's been, especially since, you know, it's really interesting. All these teams that are kind of on the bubble for the qualification, they're not the ones picking up a ton of eliminations, right? It's the ones that are extremely desperate. They're trying to close the gap here. And that's why we still have almost the same exact points where we left off on with everyone else in the game. Visuals, threats on the other side have already effectively picked up too, which is not too bad. They're at cap material. Another Western pool. We've already seen them win a game from here, so they know how to do it.
just a matter of they can make it through the mid game, because that's when a lot of their struggles are happening. The next best team, Hobby and Aminish, they go down. Peterbot, Boyo are the reason for them to go down. So another team's FNCS year has come to an end. And then now I gotta look at the next best team, Yuz in Sharkman, who started at 176.
There's no way, right? There's no way. Boyo does end up falling here. Peterbot's left by himself. We've already seen Boyo do some miraculous things as a solo, obviously going on those crazy elimination tears. Peterbot by himself, vibes are up. They already have the tournament in the bag. I mean, he might just continue to do crazy things here himself. But again, talk about the biggest upset for Javi and Diminish there. Dream's getting crushed here. Sphinx and Curly actually have a chance now to overtake some of these teams here. That in chance is going to be one of those dangers that are standing between them and, of course, the position at the LAN event.
This one could still definitely end up being very close, depending on if our already qualified teams start getting eliminations here, siphoning points away. But for Curly and Sphinx, they're just looking to get into the zone for now. As soon as they find it safe, comfortable, or at least as comfortable as can be, you can see them kind of lurking around, seeing a scuffle going down, immediately landing shots onto Curve, onto Higgs as well, just trying to alleviate the stresses of the eventuality of Storm Surge.
Not gonna lie, I want to see what Slepsy and Wager's looking like, because if they somehow continue to find these elims, that would just be the craziest story. But threats and visuals, 2 elims above the threshold, plenty of material. This is looking like the dream run for them. Meanwhile, Peterbot on the other side is way below the threshold himself. He's got a lot of damage to catch up with, but he's got nothing to lose. This is another win in the bag for him right here. 325 below, though. What are you going to do, Peterbot? Who are you going to target next? Oh, little revenge onto Cold. Okay, I like that one.
Feeling confident. You can see him kind of lurking on over, but he just can't get tunnel visioned on one team. 350 is a lot to overcome, especially since you're still taking a little bit of damage, running out of builds, tries to break into that first box. There's a whole nother duo on the other side, and that's just going to be a little bit more for Peterbot to handle as a solo. He's going to go down, even with first place already secured. It's a big team out of the lobby, and a team that can no longer siphon away points.
Definitely, as you say that too, Batman, Booga falls there as well. These are teams that are sitting up at the top of the standings, falling right now. And quite honestly, I can't tell if that's going to be beneficial for anyone trying to hold their qualification spot or not, but I don't think so. You have teams like Sphinx and Curly just now starting to earn their placement points.
Yeah, better chances for those points to go to the teams that actually need it, instead of first place or any of our other global qualified teams. But you're seeing everybody making a priority, rotating forward towards the zone. Does have a western lean, so for Booga and Braids, they might be one of the last ones to start their rotation, but most of their way there is going to be relatively clean. A little bit of a mess up for Braids on that shockwave. Forced to expend another one, but this is where they alleviate themselves, and this is almost a make or break rotation if they go through the cone.
Crazy to think that Booga and Braids are at 160 right now with 5 eliminations. How many more can they go for? Another 10 and they'll close the gap. Cryptid HQ, the team that has that comfortable lead, now starting to soak up those well-earned placement points. This is good for them here. Notice they're not doing anything risky, Jacob.
Yeah, I think they know. There's going to come a point in time in this exact game where it's going to become mathematically impossible for them to lose out on one of those 2 spots. They just need to maintain their composure. Stay 190 or so above the damage threshold. Luckily for them and everybody else, 4 players need to go down. Storm Surge will no longer be a worry, but we got a battle for high. King, Craze, Cold, and Ritual. Cold, Ritual do seem to get that first elimination onto King, leaving Craze all by himself. Again, that's a team that is ahead on the points on the leaderboard that they've just taken out of the lobby.
Yep, definitely just crashing out for high ground, because why not? It's the last game. They're looking to end it with a bang. Meanwhile, visual and threats slowly, surely inching their way up towards Chris and Alo's position. Sharkman and Yuz are doing the same as well. They find Ace first there. Couple solos remaining in this game. Do keep in mind, that's why there's still 24 teams alive on the board there. Sphinx Curly find themselves very much hurt on the outskirts of the map there.
I just kind of had my eyes locked on Liam and Fear. One of them's down, stuck to solos. Madden and Chance, not necessarily going for elevation, just trying to stay down below, putting a target on an H-Cube encrypted. Even though they have so much more of a cushion, that'll be the last thing a team like this would want, to fall and let the nerves kind of eat you alive. 240 though, the cushion just continues to get built. Top 20 situation, a good chunk of the placement points so far, and you can see players just dropping like flies.
Yeah, it's nothing to worry about at this point. I mean, you really want to start looking at everyone else who's getting very, very close to that number here. Yuz, Sharkman still alive. Chance there in the mix. H-Cube and Encrypted just kind of cruising by. Take a look at Sharkman's situation here. A single Elam that they just got onto Ace, but they have a little bit more maps to go the distance here. Target now putting on their back here from the rest of the lobby here. 196, just a couple more teams falling will give them the position over Chris and Aloe, and then it's a fight to hold it.
I think it was around 210 or so points. Madden Chance right there. You can see they picked up 208, but that just goes to show how close it is. Multiple teams on the verge of breaking that threshold that Chris and Aloe dropped before they went down. Visual, the thread, similar spot. 200 points. We have so many teams over 200 points at this point in time.
Already 3 duos at least, but Madden falls at 208. More placement points going the other way. Chris and Aloe technically are still holding the line. A couple more duos in between them. Visuals watching what's going on here. H-Cube solo by himself. He's already secured. He's got it. Big elimination there on Vertify there. Nice stop in. Meanwhile, Yuz's Sharkman 210 now. It's their spot to fight for.
Literally a few eliminations, a few placements separates going to the global championship after their season ended, and they tried to extend it further. Another elimination, the second one, and when they need it most. Because you see their material count, they have relatively little to nothing. Same with the Chug Jugs, but on high ground, Slepsy and Wagers. We've been gifted such a great end to this tournament.
This is crazy. They came into this with such a huge gap between them and everyone else, but we said it. If they can jump over 10 eliminations and somehow win the game by some miracle, they might qualify, especially since they are the reason Chris and Aloe fell in the first place. And look at that. Their closest competition just got taken out. 2 of them, in fact, and Jacob, the runway might be open for them.
218 points, I think, is where it stopped. 191. This is essentially a win and you're in, and it's not just into any tournament, it's to the global championship. Already with 7 eliminations, top 5. Another solo toward the back as Slepsy picks up that knock on the Carillion, leaving Jargu by himself. They are walking it down right now.
199, they still need to do more. Cold's still in the storm. They got to be careful. Another knock's going to go their way. They are literally securing the points that they need. 203, they need 15 more points. Can they find these Elans? They cannot go to other teams here and now. His teammates there. Jargle steals one of them. 207, they need to find... Who's this? H-Cube out of nowhere, still playing as a solo here. They've given up the high ground. They're out of max now. Jargle's still alive. Here comes the edit. H-Cube shooting down. They get that one as well. This is the defining moment here. 2v1. H-Cube hits it, but Slinksy wins in the end. And they get the 10 and the win there, Jacob.
228, maybe even plus points at this point in time. Did we just witness a moment where Slepsies and Wagers needed eliminations? They needed a victory royale, and they got everything, Zeke!
Jacob, MTF. Oh my gosh, we're getting final numbers, okay? We're just making sure everything looks good and looks clean. I'm refreshing these leaderboards as soon as we are ready to let you know who the winners are to confirm and make sure everything is good. Oh my gosh, in this last game, and this is why you just can never give up, man. You have to, like, if you're a player out there, this is just such a perfect example to fight until the very end, until that last game. We look here, I'm so sorry, my eyes were closed, I was so in shock, but it is in fact true. Off of a single game, Slepsy Wagers in game 6 find a massive victory royale, and it is enough, Kelly.
Listen, we knew that it was possible from this duo. We saw in game number 2, they walked away with a victory royale, but they did it with one elimination, and then they got 40th place after that. I thought they were done and over with. We all wrote them off. We had different storylines going on, and none of it had to do with Slepsy and Wagers. Well, now they are the main characters in this story. To be able to take the final game, to take the win, and to get just the amount of eliminations they need, Vivid, that is a story worth telling.
I mean, there's so many times in Fortnite where we talk about those last game moments. I'm like, yeah, I mean, the math can math out. Like, you can clutch up, but it's not really likely, right? Slepsy and Wagers, they finally bring it to fruition here. I mean, they were on 123 points before that game. I mean, yeah, they effectively played 2 games today, both of them being wins, and it was enough to carry them into that qualification spot into the global championship. What an incredible way for Slepsy and Wagers to make their way to a LAN.
There was literally no other way for them to get in. That, like, they had to win that game to continue the dream. I cannot believe it. In the final few moments of that, they won it all. They pushed out Yuz and Sharkman, Visual and Threats. Oh my gosh. Also, obviously that was an insane run. I did want to really quickly just double back as well to HCube and Encrypted, kind of give them their flowers as well. Phenomenal showing on the day, 304 points from the duo. Kelly, I'm looking at only one game, only one quote-unquote bad game, we'd call it, right? A 38th place, but everything else was inside the top 10. They were looking fantastic. I'd love to take a look at the overall leaderboard to kind of get a full picture. So remember, that leaderboard we just showed you as players who needed to qualify. But this is a look at everything, right? So Peterbot, Pollo, yes, they did win, but again, Kelly, just such a big moment for HCube and Encrypted, also securing themselves a spot.
It is a huge moment, especially, it wasn't like they were able to secure themselves a spot. They got second place. HCube was doing incredibly well as a solo in those final moments. I think they were already kind of confirmed once we did reach the middle part of that game, but for him to do that and get second place, just great showings for our 2 teams that have qualified themselves into the global championships. Big shout outs, of course, to HCube and Slepsy and Wagers and Encrypted. But listen, I know we're not talking about the teams that already qualified, but Peterbot and Pollo versus Agers and Venno. What another storyline that just had such a satisfying ending, Vivid.
Yeah, this is gonna be one of those moments where Peterbot and Pollo, they're like, yeah, listen, we know Agers and Venno were kind of coming for our throats here on this one. They were trying to, take us out in the early game in back-to-back games, but this is something that Peterbot will respect from his own right? We'd be like, listen, I've done this before myself. I know that Agers and Venno were just playing for the win here. So I think Peterbot and Pollo are definitely going to go ahead and respect the attempt there. But unfortunately, Peterbot and Pollo are very, very good off spawn. They kind of faltered in game number 5, but it looked like in game number 6, they were fully prepared for it. And I myself actually would have guessed that Agers and Venno wouldn't have done it in game number 6, actually laying there again. But listen, Agers and Venno, they have the confidence. They know exactly how to win a tournament. They went for it. Unfortunately for them, because they went down early in that game, they did drop down to 3rd place. But I think they were willing to make that risk.
So interesting, right? It's such an interesting play, especially we talked about this not that long ago on FNCS, but Venno making a similar play, right? And it takes us all the way back to Invitational. They land on Canyon setting. It didn't go Venno's way. There must be some kind of feelings like, dude, what the heck is going on? Of course, we respect the play, and thank you guys for entertaining us. What else do we have to look at here? Because this has been, I'm still just so shocked at the play Slepsy and Wagers. Oh, that's true. The qualified players. Okay, so check this out. Here is all of our players. Thank you, Kelly. You're so incredible. Here is all of our players representing NAC at the Global Championship. Obviously, Kelly, all of these players have fought tooth and nail. They fought across all of the majors, and of course, GC Last Chance. Kelly, I can't lie. We're going up against some other pretty good regions.
Listen, there is so many big names that are going to be showing up to the global championships, and maybe North America didn't win the Summit LAN, and maybe we didn't win the global championships.
Why would you bring that up?
But if anyone's going to walk away in first place, it might be a North American team. I don't know. Who knows? There's so many good teams, Vivid, and we finally have so many teams. I know that there's still some other regions that are competing, so we don't have all the teams just yet, but my goodness, are there just some really big hitters. This is going to be one of the most insane global championships that we are ever going to witness.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, going into global championships, Peterbot and Player, right? Those first 4 games of today, I guarantee you when we are there at global championships, we're going to be talking about, hey, Peterbot Player, we're kind of looking good in that last chance finals, right? Like, are they back? Of course, they got 7th in the major finals. So just a single competition here today can just kind of lead us into so many conversations for the global championships. Then, of course, we got the Reload Elite Series culminating next week as well. So much is going on leading into global championships. I can't believe we almost have all of our duos that we will be seeing there.
Dude, it's so crazy. It's been such a journey. One point of clarification there. Obviously, one of the teams representing NA is Agers and Benno. So if Benno wins, that's still an NA win, right? Okay. I'm glad we're all aligned. It would still be an NA win. With that being said, though, friends, thank you guys so much. This is always so much fun to come on here, talk about Fortnite, lose our minds, freak out about all the players and the plays that we're seeing. Congratulations to all of the qualified players, and not only just NAC, but every other region. Globals is going to be crazy, so we have a lot of preparation to do before then. Fortnite fam, as always, we love you. Keep yourself safe, and we'll see you on that battle bus.
Beep, beep.
Beep.